Tori on the beat, Tori on the beat, Tori on the beat.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to Coinsauce Crypto Jungle at CoinFest Asia 2025. I'd like to invite everyone downstairs to come up shortly. We'll be starting the program upstairs. We have some exciting panel discussions happening. Please come up in the next 20 minutes or so, and we'll be able to start the event. Thank you, guys.
Cool. That's like a whole wave of people that might just try and listen to it, you know what I mean? Because you can't deny house music, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter what style of music you like, that loop. If you like music, you like house. You just haven't realized it yet. If you like music, you like house. You just haven't realized it yet.
Everyone, we're going to be starting the agenda upstairs with some panel discussions in the next 5 minutes. Those of you downstairs who'd like to come up and catch, the panel discussions that we have. First one's going to be with AVAX, Zeta Chain, Elio, as well as Athia. Please head up and get ready. We'll be starting in 5 minutes. Thank you.
understand. It's out of my hands. I can't feel for you or tell you what to do. It's something you've got to understand. It's out of my hands. I can't feel for you or tell you what to do. It's something you've got to understand. It's out of my hands. I can't feel for you or tell you what to do. It's something you've got to understand. It's out of my hands. It's out of my hands. It's out of my hands. It's something you've got to understand. It's out of my hands. 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 It's out of my
Gus is here already, is it? Guess.
没有，还没有来。
then 他怎么做那个？then 我帮他做啊？
他本来就是你们两个啊，是吗？他都没有在这。
can't feel for you or tell you what to do. It's something you've got to understand. It's out of my hands. I can't feel for you or tell you what to do. It's something you've got to understand. It's out of my hands.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Coinsauce Crypto Jungle at CoinFest Asia 2025. I am your host for today, Naji. Thank you for coming back down again today. Yesterday, through more than 10 keynote speeches, we reviewed the latest developments in the Web3 industry with industry experts, project teams, and investors. We explored the global opportunities for crypto assets and discussed the changes in new technologies, new models, and the regulatory environment. Today's roundtable is a further extension and implementation of yesterday's macro discussion. With a more focused perspective, we will dive deep into four major areas. First, the competitive landscape of next-gen Web3 infrastructure, exploring the tech development of cross-chain interoperability and computing networks. Secondly, the convergence of AI and Web3 and how artificial intelligence empowers on-chain ecosystems. Third, breakthroughs in high-performance public chains and how the public chain battles open new battlegrounds in performance and ecology. And lastly, the RWA revolution. Today's discussions will not only be a clash of viewpoints, but also a fusion of industry wisdom, and we hope this roundtable exchange will inspire everyone present. Coinstore has always been dedicated to building an international and open communication platform, and we are honored to collaborate with all of you to drive the development of Web3. Let's officially begin today's discussions. All right, before we dive into the panel discussions, James, Global Head of Business Development at Coinstore, will be giving a quick opening speech about Coinstore's products and services and our future roadmap. So without further ado, can I get a round of applause for James?
Thank you, Nachi. Hi, good afternoon, Bali. Welcome to our event here. I hope you have fun yesterday. Okay, so I'm going to give a very quick update about Coinstore, just for the sake of some of you that maybe is new to Coinstore. We are an exchange, centralized exchange for 5 years. We started off from Southeast Asia. Very much our user base, currently at 11 million, is mostly made out of Southeast Asia and India region. But we are moving very fast and growing very fast as well. So without further ado, let me start with the statistic. Okay, as I mentioned, we have about 11 million right now users, registered ones, 200,000 daily users at our peak. Okay, 175 countries across in terms of the user base and activeness, 1,100 listed tokens so far over our short period of 5 years. So one of our strong signature product is Launchpad. Okay, we started our Launchpad about 3 years ago, helping very new crypto projects to launch onto our platform and for us to introduce to our users. We have already done 70 IEOs so far, okay, which is quite impressive. In our highest peak is about 2 IEOs per month, okay? So average oversubscription rate is about 3,700%, 65 million USDT so far fundraised, and 1 million USDT average subscription amount. So that is pretty big for actually exchange in terms of fundraise. All-in-one cryptocurrency trading platform. So what we do when we started with spot exchange, and later on we expand to futures for a while, okay, and then we actually kick off our IEO. And 2 years ago, we started our Web3 wallet to integrate to our exchange, and we also launched our Coinstore labs to incubate very potential Asia projects and also some from the European regions. And now we are launching our alpha. Just like the Binance Alpha, we have our Coinstore Alpha, which I'll be sharing what's the difference between our Coinstore Alpha listing and our traditional spot listing in a quick moment. So in terms of Coinstore project incubation, as an exchange, we believe that we need to play an active role in helping crypto projects as well, okay? So we have 5 steps to help high-quality projects. It's firstly, through very high-level partnership with research institutions and also VCs across Asia. And we also launched our Launchpad to further enhance the exposure and branding of the projects. We are also integrating our Web3 wallet so that we can also help these projects that list on us to further connect to the on-chain side of things. We also host a lot of offline events like today. We are very active. We are one of the most active exchange you can find to host offline events, big and small, in different Asia countries, as far as Russia, UK, and also Colombia. I think 3 years ago we did these offline events. Actually, it's very ambitious for a small exchange or newly startup exchange. Okay, we also have a very big different way of channels of influencer, like our Coinstore League, Teamster, Global BD Force. We have about 89 BDs today across the world to help to be our ambassador as well, okay, so that we can serve the projects and be real life, boots on the ground, and serve better for the customers. And we always wanted to create a very effective communities globally. And also, of course, what all exchange can do, we have a lot of in-app supporting activities, whitelisting, IEO, and customized campaign for crypto projects should they want, okay? So our Launchpad was quite a success, okay, but we are not happy with just being the same all the while. So we have initiated our 2.0, which is to give even better enhancement in terms of branding and market making strategy so that customers' experience, users' experience is better. Because for crypto projects in the centralized exchange listing, liquidity is very important, market making is very important. So this is something that we have to advise the project as well, provide support. So in Coinstore Alpha, which is this is the one that I'm saying, we will go to one click to on-chain. So in terms of industry background, we understand that Alpha actually is actually the trend. Okay, it allows on-chain asset exposure, and also DEX operation. We understand is actually more complex than centralized exchange. But however, DEX is rising rapidly, and the policies are also getting stricter. So in this case, we launched our Alpha to, in a way, complement our sex listing. Okay, so this in a nutshell, what is the difference? Okay, for alpha listing, it is, you can list within 30 minutes. Okay, unlike the traditional spot listing whereby you, at most fastest, you need 24 hours, all right? But for alpha listing, 30 minutes. And listing costs, of course, because it's on-chain, is a lot cheaper as well, more affordable, especially for our friendly, newly set up crypto projects to try. Okay, liquidity-wise, crypto projects will be able to save some money as well because we are using their DEX liquidity. So it's not even, they need not put any liquidity in the centralized exchange. Okay, and they need not worry about the market making because everything will be transparent across different DEX. And, but however, the good part is that instead of listing just on your typical text tool and also your text screener, you can, if you list on Alpha, you can now tap on our user base of 11 million, okay? And also you have a low barrier to liquidity and market demand, and it's very ideal for early startup. Okay, our product introduction, we want to be the bridge between centralized and decentralized market, no longer just purely focused on being centralized. And we want to be faster, quicker for training token as well, because speed is money. Okay, time is money. It's very important, we understand. And hence we also want to provide a very diverse suite of on-chain investment opportunities between centralized and decentralized. Okay, if I'm not wrong, I think Coinstore is one of the 5 or 6 exchanges that newly launched Alpha. Of course, those that are very famous are the ones from Binance, BitGet, Gate. Okay, we are one of the tier 2 exchange. I think the first one that launched. Okay, we have the core user group is 11 million active users, Web3 native on-chain traders, and emerging blockchain projects ready to launch. So we are a very pro crypto projects exchange per se. Currently, at our first level 1.0, we support Solana, BSC, and Base chain, but we are very open to to tap on new chains as well. So if you are running on a separate chain, feel free to speak to us. Okay, we are happy to explore together because this is just our very early start. So no DEX operation required, as simple as sex. This is the reason why we launched Alpha this month. So let Coinstore 2.0 power up and empowers crypto. And in terms of our global impact, so far, just to give you some background, over the 5 years, we organized over 200 events, big and small, across the countries of about 50. Number of participants up to about 300,000 because we do have conference that we host in big events like Token 2049, whereby there's up to 300 users or rather participants. But this 300,000 number of participants, I think, is over the 5 years. Okay, so brand exposure is about 8 million because we do a lot of online marketing and exposure, Twitter, Instagram, and even LinkedIn, so that there's a lot of eyeball, not only on Coinstore, but also on the projects that actually runs the events together with us. So this is just to give you some photos, because I think photo is more interesting than me speaking. This is one of the events at Token 2049 2 years ago, whereby we launched our brand conference. During this event, big names like Animoca, Cardano, I think Avalanche, and many other layer 1, layer 2, and even like big VCs attend in Singapore. At one of the hotel, I cannot remember which one. So 2 years ago, this is the one that happened just this year in Dubai, Token 2049. We host in Dubai as well. So for this, we focus a lot on investors, on VCs. We invite a lot of VCs over, the tier 1, tier 2 VCs to give talks about their vision and also their choosing criteria for projects. So every event we choose different teams and we invite different partners. So this is going to be very challenging in terms of our connection, but with our 89 BDs around the world, we are quite connected to invite the right people. And this is, let me present to you our smaller version because we can't do conference like every month in order to hit our like 50 events throughout. So we do need to have a very small amount, smaller size events. So we call this Crypt Talk. So Crypt Talk's aim is to actually gather like-minded people and to actually come over to an event that we host. Usually 50 people is what we are looking at around the world. And we will showcase high-quality projects that list on Coinstore to the community for educational purpose. All right, so countries that we've been to besides the Russia, UK, Dubai, Turkey that we mentioned earlier. So these are some of the more common places that we do. In India, Bangalore, Hyderabad, this is their Silicon Valley, India, and Manila, Philippines, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, Manila, Philippines, London, UK. So this is just to name a few. And we only host the event when we have BDs there. So these are the places that we have BDs. So we hope to be the tech of the crypto industry. And this is one of our videos for Dubai this year on our booth. Take a look. Okay, thank you. You might realize that our logo that we show is different from the logo that you see right now. And the color theme was blue and now it's pink because last month we rebrand ourselves to be a more energetic logo and also a color that actually fits into the profile of the younger generation better. So that we want to actually give that new breath of life, okay, to the industry. And we also noticed that this year we host a bigger venue within CoinFest. This is our 4th year doing CoinFest, but this time around we're doing bigger and better because to celebrate our brand upgrade. And also at the same time, you notice that we are the, only sponsors that actually bring in animal. I think this is quite special. We always want to prove ourselves and also want to push ourselves as well, to push the boundary and to impress. Okay, so these are something that we are that embodies in our spirit. And lastly, we also have a after party later tonight. So if you want to meet us, sorry. Okay, so if you want to meet us later to over here to discuss, and also later on in the evening, if you don't want to brave the jam to go other places and find out that you arrive at the event late, we can see you here and can like network here together as well. And last but not least, we will be launching our futures in mid-October as well. And this will be a stronger push in terms of our volume and our user base growth. Okay, and we are also able to do a future listing for our crypto projects if, let's say, their volume is good enough. Okay, thank you so much, and I hope to connect with you later. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much, James, for the speech about Coinstore. I hope you guys got a better understanding of Coinstore, the future direction that we are taking, and also the different products and services that we have. So right now, we've come to the promised panel discussions that we talked about. So it's going to be, the first panel discussion is actually going to be on the battle for the next generation of Web 3.0 infrastructure. We are featuring 4 very, very big projects that are giants in their field. This includes Aethia, Avex, Elio, and lastly, Zeta Chain. So we'll get the chairs up onto the stage and get ready for this. So just to introduce some of the speakers that will be speaking today, we have Kai, who's the head of listing from Alio, Aditya, who's actually the regional manager of Zeta Chain Indonesia, Mark Ryden, the co-founder and CSO of Aether, and lastly, Roy Hirata, who's the head of Japan's of AVEX. So yeah, without further ado, please welcome the four of them up onto the stage, and we'll start the panel discussions in a moment. Thank you. All right, guys. Welcome to Coinsauce Crypto Jungle at CoinFest Asia 2025. Thank you for gracing this event with us, and we really look forward to this panel discussion. So for everyone who just joined us, I'll let the four boys up here to share a little bit more about themselves and also about what they do, and then we'll proceed with the start of the panel discussion. Just to recap, the topic for today's panel discussion is going to be the battle for the next generation of Web 3.0 infrastructure. So yeah, Roy, do you want to introduce yourself first?
Test. Okay. Hi guys. Thank you for inviting me. I'm Roy Hirata from Ava Labs. We're building Avalanche, and I'm managing the Japan region.
All right, thank you, Roy. Aditya?
Test. Okay. Hey everyone. I'm Harry. I'm ambassador for Zeta Chain Indonesia. Thank you.
All right, and Mark?
Hey guys, Mark here, co-founder of Aether. We build distributed GPU infrastructure. We're like a AWS or a Google Cloud, except we focus exclusively on GPUs, the thing that, effectively the engine that powers AI. Big difference between us and the traditional clouds is that we don't actually own any of the GPUs in our network. We're like an Airbnb or an Uber, or as those of you more familiar with the Web3 space, a DPIN, a decentralized physical infrastructure network. We're very focused on helping builders in the AI space scale their companies on the back of more affordable, more accessible GPUs.
All right, and Kai?
Yeah, hi everyone, my name is Kai. I'm serving as the head of listing for Alio, the most famous privacy blockchain developer.
All right, thank you guys. So yeah, without further ado, let's kickstart this panel discussion. So first of all, these four gentlemen up here, they're all giants in their own field. So I guess the most important question that we want to know at the start of it is, as the next gen of Web 3.0 infrastructure, in your opinion, what's the most critical breakthrough point of the next generation infrastructure prioritize solving performance, privacy, computing resources, or is it something else? So maybe Roy, do you want to start that?
Yeah, very good question. I really believe the next important part is privacy. And I think we have a good
Thank you.
panel speaker today for privacy. But as we know that the stablecoin has been really big thing right now, and also payments, and we have kind of gone back to the first principles of blockchain. And what we haven't reached is actually the privacy part, right? We can have instant payments, low-cost payments, but we don't have the privacy. And I think that's the real big issue, and also the big breakthrough that will be happening in the next few years.
Yeah, fair enough. I definitely think privacy is a very important feature. It's the reason why all of us got into crypto in the first place, right? So it's definitely something very important. Riding on that, maybe Kai, since you're in that sector
Sure.
as well, do you want to share something?
Yeah, sure. I think I think the compatibility and scalability and also privacy are I would say the three most important factor for any blockchain. Because blockchain itself is just like the most deep layer, also the most foundation layer for future applications. Just like kind of like our operating system, right? So the secureness, which is privacy, is a part of the security which I think that's the point of why we joined this industry, are trying to say make it clear that what could be privacy and what should not be privacy, especially facing to those criminal or things. As you mentioned that given the stable coins now penetrate into all different demographics, which means it actually achieves help unbank the bank that were back 10 years ago when fintech just started. So now privacy gets a different definition that for normal people privacy I guess it's just okay, but for a special group of people privacy is something should be treated differently.
Yeah, I've got maybe a question here. I think privacy is also really, really important. I'm just wondering, do you think that to solve the privacy issue we need new chains, or is it a feature-based solution that can be incorporated onto, say, Ethereum or Solana or AVAX?
Not really need a new chains, but given blockchain itself, the hash itself it's already a kind of helping on the privacy to make it not readable by human eyes directly, but it has to be hashed or say encrypted, because cryptocurrency coming from cryptography, right? So itself it just itself represents privacy at some point. I mean, honestly speaking, we don't need that much new chain for privacy, but instead we need the algorithm and also basically Aleo developing is not really say a very, very new kind of blockchain. It's similar thing, but just the algorithm behind it is it's coming from UC Berkeley, the whole team. Yeah, they're pretty good.
Right, fair enough. Aditya, do you have anything to add on to this?
Okay, so for us at the Zeta chain, the most critical breakthrough is, I think, connectivity. Ensuring that every chain, asset, and user can seamlessly interact across ecosystem. Performance, privacy, and compute are all vital, but they don't solve the root problem of fragmentation. Right, right now, users juggle multiple wallets, a bridge, and wrap assets just to interact across chains. Zeta chain breakthrough is enabling native omni-chain interoperability. So whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Sui, Avalanche, Base, or Arbitrum, or everything, works together as we were one chain. Once this foundation of connectivity is one place, improvement in performance and privacy can be fully leveraged across the entire Web3 universe.
All right, yeah, thanks for that.
By the way, I'm in Zeta chain, so I often get booked.
Anyone else have anything to add on to that, like regarding the performance that Aditya mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that we've all seen over the past, this cycle anyway, is that the performance gap between chains is kind of disappearing, right? Even Ethereum now has extremely affordable sort of gas fees, right? Compared to this time a year ago where you might have been paying, $8, $50 for a congested transaction, right? So I think the performance thing is largely one that you'd struggle to defend, particularly if you're thinking kind of TPS or gas fee, right? I think privacy has a very interesting place to play, especially when you start to think about AI, and its involvement on chain, and then also this increasing encroachment of TradFi into the crypto space with like was mentioned over there, the stablecoin side of things. It'll be interesting to see how players like Circle's ARC, this new L1 that they're deploying specifically for stablecoin transactions, how that kind of fits in to the broader sort of landscape. But obviously being Aether, the final part of the question was computing resources. I think if you take, again, an AI-focused look at this, there is an argument to be made that a lot of the AI models are converging on a very similar sort of outcome at the moment. We're not, I don't want to be anti-AI, because actually I'm really bullish, but just for the sake of this argument, maybe people are not seeing the jump in performance between ChatGPT kind of 03 and ChatGPT 5. I think 5 was a pretty poor release. Anyway, there's an argument that all of these models are kind of starting to reach their performance thresholds. And as soon as you get to that kind of point, then you start to really be focused on, okay, how can I reduce or increase the efficiency of the model? And when you take a look at computing through that lens, you kind of end up at a point where you get to this profit per token, right? So how much does it cost you to do one kind of increment of inference for a model? And through that lens, computing resources and getting more efficient access and lower cost access to these resources is kind of critical and arguably the main pillar that'll bottleneck expansion of these models that have access to huge amounts of distribution through their partnerships with Google and Microsoft and AWS, et cetera.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Just to write on that as well, right? Regarding to computing performance as well as performance, you guys also know that different layer 1s and layer 2s, they implement different technologies. So some of them use things like sharding, some use things like parachain, for example, and all those kind of different technology in order to get better performance. So how do you see that as a differentiator for the different chains, or does it really not make that much of a difference for them? Maybe Roy, definitely.
Well, I think in terms of the performance side, I'm like, it's been said, it's really coming into those like milliseconds and how much we can improve. The efficiency is a really good term here, because in the end, what really matters is how much you really need. And if you reach that point of, let's say, cost per performance level where business makes sense, then it starts to get into more the business development or marketing side of efforts. And I think the overall L1, L2s, and all these extra infrastructure has been built is already reaching to that point where actually the performance is, yes, it's important, but we've gotten into the marketing, liquidity, some all the middleware areas, the supporting factor actually has more bigger effect, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Writing on that, right, speaking about marketing and all those other things as well, right? As a Web3 infra project, what do you think is the main non-technical obstacle hindering large-scale implementation? Is it regulatory compliance, developer tools, market education, or perhaps something else? Do you want to start, Kai?
Yeah, sure. I think it's more about developer tools, because the cost for developer for any project to hire developers is very high these days, and especially if this language is very hard to programming or very hard to get. It's actually there will be less and less developer coming to onboarding to the ecosystem, because say for example, say if yourself as a developer you directly building something on the blockchain for free, which is okay because it's just a demo, right? But if we're talking about a real actual application, it's not like could be done by one person. You need a well-organized team with proper product UI UX design and everything, and or even just like running a small company, you need all a full suite of that. The cost is very high these days. So I would say easy for developer onboarding is the most key thing for any blockchain to boost up their ecosystem. Otherwise, there will not be ecosystem no matter how much grant you give. That's bullshit.
Anyone else have anything to add on?
Yeah, I'll take maybe a non L1, L2 approach. We're not building a chain. We're building an ecosystem based on the back of effectively our cloud, right? And I think a lot of projects that are building Web3 solutions where their customer is a Web2 person or entity, I think the biggest blocker is actually the Web3 thinking that we have, right? We price our products in our token. We make people buy things using our token, and these payment rails are very familiar to us. But many corporations, actually the vast majority, will be allergic to that type of infrastructure. So I think, funnily enough, the biggest issue that a lot of projects have is how Web3 their project is, right? The vast majority of Aether's customers are Web2 customers, and almost none of them pay directly in the token, right? All revenue accrues to the token, but we have to have a solution that allows us to receive dollars, but still ensure that those dollars go to the token, right? That's a problem that the company needs to solve inside. It's not a problem that you want to put onto your customer. You don't want to say to them, oh, you don't have 1 million ATH token just sitting in your bank. Like, what are you doing, right? You don't make it their problem. You need to solve it yourself, right? You need to say, hey, how can I reduce friction and give them the highest likelihood of being able to kind of buy into what I'm building?
Yeah, definitely. I think in this industry, sometimes we inhibit ourselves, and we are the biggest blockers for ourselves. We kind of live in this bubble, right, in the Web3 space. We think we're better than the Web3 industry and all that things. So that's a very fresh take on things. But yeah, Aditya, do you want to add something to that?
Okay, thanks for your question. From my perspective, the biggest non-technical challenge is market education, combined with user experience. regulation is important for me. And developer tools are improving rapidly. But the average person still find Web3 too complex. Imagine a new user in Indonesia who want to try DeFi or NFTs. They immediately face a confusing decision: which wallet to use, which chain to start, and how to bridge asset. Yeah. This learning curve stop millions of potential users from everything Web3. Yeah, of course, education is still key, especially in emerging market like Indonesia. That's why we are investing in ambassador program, community engagement, and community builder in local and regional. So the combination of simplifying the user experience, improving education will be the real driver of large-scale Web3 implementation.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think that actually resonates with me a lot because, to be honest with everyone, I'm only in this industry for 2 years. So it was a very steep learning curve for me as well. And I think market education is something that's very important. As a community, we tend to tear each other down more than we actually build each other up. So I think that's something that we could try to change. And I think market education is a great first step in building towards that as well. So in Indonesia, for example, emerging markets, it's very important to educate the market and the users down here. How do you actually make use of Web3? How do you make use of crypto to your benefit? So is this something that you guys also face in Japan, for instance, Roy? Education in Japan, is it a tough thing for blockchain? Because adoption there seems to be quite a roadblock as well, right?
Yeah, very good question. So most of the crypto education is coming from like grassroots community events. And sometimes it works, but also we need to educate the regulators. And this is the most important thing happening right now is that the regulation side won't just come, right? They need to learn somewhere and they don't go to these community crypto events. So someone has to make a report, talk to the regulators in their own proper manner, and still convey the benefits and why they need to do this, incentivize. And I think that's one of the hardest work we've been doing the last 2 years, especially in Japan, is we do grassroots community work, but also we need to convince the regulators. And I've had countless nights of looking through all this Excel sheet that they send, all these questionnaires, and like answering yes, no, but this is something that I think all projects will eventually have to do, and and it's really important.
Yeah, fair enough. Specifically for Aether, being a deep-in project, right? How is scalability really an issue for you guys? Because there's a lot of talk about deep-in being the future, but at the same time, a lot of people are saying that deep-in isn't ready for today's world. So how do you guys actually tackle this situation?
I think, deep in itself is a hugely broad category, right? It arguably captures pretty much every form of technology out there. So I think deep-in is a fantastic solution for a large number of problems, right? Today's problems, the future's problems, yesterday's problems. I think it's a fantastic solution for a lot of challenges out there. I think it's going to be a really interesting solution for a large number of data bottlenecks that we have from an AI perspective, from a robotics perspective. So I think that it's a very important role to play. From Aether's perspective, we look at scalability in our network through a slightly different lens in that we're scaling on top of enterprise-grade software, right? Enterprise-grade hardware. We're not aggregating consumer equipment. We don't, touch gaming PCs or mobile phones or anything like that. So we actually scale on the back of essentially data center infrastructure, right? So we have this interesting balance that we need to maintain in the network whereby we don't want to get too big too quickly, right? If we onboard too much supply, then we start effectively distributing tokens to unused equipment, right? So we have this interesting sort of dynamic where we're a supply-led business, but we keep demand in touch with supply. So I think if we wanted to open the floodgates and just onboard as much compute as possible, we actually have significantly more compute not onboarded than we do actually in the network. We could triple, quadruple the size of our infrastructure network over the course of 48 hours. But that would have an impact on the token, and it's not something we want to do. So I think scalability is important. Intelligent scalability, I think, is better. It's particularly easy to scale networks in crypto because you can just give away funny money, right? And just get people to like onboard into your ecosystem, but that's just going to damage your brand. It's going to damage your token in the long term. So I think Deepin has a fantastic role to play. We have a very unique approach to scalability because we're scaling on the back of enterprise GPUs. But I think that, yeah, if you're interested in Deepin, 100%, it's going to be a fascinating place to invest.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely agree on that. I think Deepin is the future for sure. There are challenges, but we will get there eventually, right? Yeah, but speaking more about enterprise level things, right? I have a question for you, Roy. There's many public chains out there that claim to be suitable for enterprise level applications. What do you think are the 3 key indicators that traditional institutions value the most?
That's a good question. In my point of view, is your infrastructure customizable to their own business needs? That's the most important. And is it cheap and cost affordable for their business model? And it's actually pretty simple, right? When you say about it, it's like, yeah, of course, right? Everyone talks. But it's actually not many infrastructure who can actually nail to that detail. For example, L2s has been prominent recently, but they've kind of, in my opinion, they have slowed down a lot. And when you actually look into the details, L2s are actually not that cost effective. And also there's a lot of constraints on what they can actually offer. So then there's a lot of L1s, recently been flourished. Circle launched L1s and other also payment companies launched L1s. And I think that shows like those small details that you can actually tweak as an L1 is a real key difference here. And I believe that how much can you actually modify your infrastructure and suit their business need is the real key differentiator. Yeah.
Right, for sure. I think that makes sense. So speaking of that, how does Avalanche crush its competitors in these areas?
Well, yeah, I think we have this L1 infrastructure network, and Avalanche, as maybe you guys really know, that we can launch L1s in minutes, and those are already fast and interoperable with other L1. So unlike L2s, I think they are coming in the roadmap, but they have an interoperability. There's no interoperability between L2s natively. So you need to rely on third-party bridges or third-party services, and that will increase cost. And you don't want increasing cost per bridge, and that will kind of destroys the whole interoperability. Then why not just build on something like Solana, right? Then you have everything on one place, less cost. But if you can really reduce the whole interoperability down to less than a second in finality with very low cost, like Avalanche is doing, I think there's a room for flourishing L1 networks. And I think we really believe in that multi-L1 thesis, like Cosmos. And I think Avalanche is really thriving the way here. Yeah.
Right. So speaking about interoperability as well, right? For Zeta Chain, for example, today owning assets across multiple chains, it's very clunky. So how do you guys actually see omni-chain tech making that as simple as one wallet? Because that's what you guys specialize in, right?
Because ecosystem are indeed the new battleground for Zeta Chain, we don't see ourselves as competing with Ethereum, Solana, or Avalanche, or anything for developers. Yeah. Instead, our role is to connect ecosystem and enable a new class of application that could never exist before. Zeta Chain takes a unique approach with our Z EVM, which allow developers to deploy one universal smart contract that connects to every chain. Instead of choosing which ecosystem to build on, developers can target to the entire crypto economy at once. This means a single app can interact with Ethereum, Solana, Arbitrum, Base, Polygon, even Bitcoin as a Bitcoin native. For ecosystem growth, this creates an entirely new category of application, what we call universal apps. By enabling developers to tap into all chains, we believe Zeta Chain ecosystem will grow not as a competitor to others, but the connectivity tissue that unite them all.
For sure, I think interoperability is really very, very important. Mark or Kai, do you guys have anything to add on regarding this? All right, so maybe Kai, it's been a while since you've spoken. Maybe we'll get back a little bit more onto the privacy train, right?
Sure.
So how does Elio actually break through the natural contradiction between privacy and compliance as a native integrated ZK proof layer one?
Yeah, so right now the team are in conversation with some authority of the US authorities, right? Because privacy is not just for say for the massive adoptions. Somehow the privacy also kind of focused on the governmental use, especially for those military stuff, right? Because that's every government is looking for on those. It's not just for tracking the personal or say retail assets where it goes. It's also affected on the government operations and also on the government encryptions, because that's also very important for pretty much every government. So they're not just working on privacy for the retails or say for the centralized exchanges, but they're more working with those authorities on that. So that's our future where they're going.
Yeah, makes sense for sure. But speaking more on that, right? Anyone else, anything to add on regarding privacy and how it's actually affected by this? All right, then maybe we'll move on to the next question, right? So when developers can actually build applications on so many different chains, like mature ones, especially like Ethereum, Solana, and stuff like that, ecology has actually become a new narrative for Web 3.0. So how will you guys actually build better applications and ecosystems to challenge this narrative in the industry? Roy, Johnson?
Yeah, I think the current landscape is kind of divided into EVMs or non-EVMs. And then there's non-EVMs, there's like Sui and other projects as well. And we believe that the EVM, actually Avalanche is more towards the EVM. Although we're VM agnostic, we're definitely more leaning on the EVM side. And the EVM is actually pretty competitive, and also like there's a lot of developers that goes around the whole ecosystem. So for us is how can we build a long-term project on Avalanche rather than choosing to, let's say, build on Arbitrum or other like Base. It has also a very strong ecosystem. And we really try to use a network effect of the strength of Avalanche, where you can build L1s. So once you have a working product, I think there are projects that want to spin out and have their own L1 and have a token for their native chain, which kind of increase their value as a project as well. I think that's the differentiator, that choosing Avalanche first, then they can spin out into the L1s. But we also support a lot of public blockchain based projects. Yeah. So.
And Mark, for Aether being a deep in project and all a layer 1 and layer 2, how do you guys actually tackle this challenge with the ecosystem that you guys are building?
Can you remind me of the challenge? Can you say it again?
Right, sure. So right now there's a lot of different chains like Ethereum, Solana that people are going to build on. So why would people actually come to a different chain? But for you guys being a deep in project, how do you guys actually get people to be invested in your ecosystem per se?
Okay, yeah. I'll maybe answer that from two perspectives. One from Aether, I'll do that second. The first maybe from a project perspective of what I look for if I was choosing a chain, right? I think, to be honest, you shouldn't look, sorry to the chains, you shouldn't look at the chain you move to as a marriage, right? Don't. Think of it as dating, right? Because at the end of the day, largely the ecosystem for grants and grant giving is gone, right? There's a lot more stricter compliance requirements and KPIs associated with access to grants these days. I mean, the meta from a year or 2 years ago, just being able to go to these chains and apply for grants and get it, it's just kind of gone. We had these like grant hunters that were effectively just going from chain to chain, like hunting grants. Like that kind of meta is largely gone, which sucks for real builders, right? Because you do want to find a home. You do largely look to these chains to give you that initial push, right? But to be honest, they're so inundated with projects, they're so overwhelmed with applicants that it's actually really difficult to get anything meaningful, no offense, from any of these chains, right? In particular, when you're small. So to be honest, the decision that I make, right, or would make in this situation would be, what technical direction do I have the capability to go? Am I restricted to EVM only? Do I have the capability to go into a Move environment with Sui or a Rust environment with Solana? Then I would think, okay, next step from a developer perspective, do I have access to developer resources capable of continuing my build in these environments, and what's the technical debt that I'm willing to accept to move, right? Because obviously if you go into Solana and you build on Rust, you're largely stuck in that ecosystem, right? You can't go anywhere else. If you build in an EVM, you can say, hey, let's do something here, and then you can move somewhere else like relatively quickly later on. So largely what I would say is make that technical decision and then go with the person that's willing to give you the most, right? That's really all that matters. When you're small, a couple of shout outs, a little grant, anything moves the needle. When you're a little bit bigger, maybe stability matters and there's a little bit more consideration to come into play. But largely go with anyone that'll give you something because it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'll pause you right there, Mark, because it's a really good point that you brought up, and we've got some time, so I want to ask a bonus question to Roy as well as Aditya. Given that you guys are chains as well, do you guys actually give out grants and stuff like that to actually incentivize builders to come on board your chains?
Yeah, actually, it's a really good point here because the days of like giving everyone throwing around grants is really not present. I can confirm that, and not just from our side, but for multiple chains, it's happening. I think it's largely due to the token price is also tanking. I think that's one. So maybe if the next altcoin bull season come in, maybe something changes. But for right now, I definitely see it's very strict. And although yes, Avalanche as an ecosystem does have these kind of special grants for projects that are, coming into it, but it's really strict, and the KPIs are super tight as well. So I really believe the chain really doesn't matter. The first part is how can you grow, but it's also important to just launch it everywhere to see in some ecosystem it might have traction, even though it's the same project. And that's, I think, where the founder should be alerted that, okay, it's the same project, I launch in Ethereum, Solana, Avalanche, and maybe other chains, but maybe it's sparking on some smaller chains. You start your business there, grow it until everyone knows the name, and then you kind of start approaching other areas for, a better quality support, or, you can maybe stick there. There's a lot of room once you get into that threshold. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
And what about first, actually?
Yeah. I totally agree with Rio, yeah. So my story is same.
Okay, cool. So if right now, like you guys said, the narrative is into giving grants and stuff like that, how do you guys actually incentivize people to keep building on your ecosystem and kind of lock them down in a sense on that chain?
Depends on project to project. So we really, everyone has to be clever. When everything is like, the token price is down, everyone is tight on budget, then you start, the constraints is there, so you have to be creative, right? So you look at the projects, what do they really need? Do they need the marketing support? Are they looking for liquidity? Are they looking for more networking partners? Then you kind of give that instead of like a big amount of grant, because everyone is like tight. I don't think there's a real fixed solution I can say here, but we have to be creative.
Yeah, I think for any projects that's out there watching this, please take note, because I definitely agree with what Roy mentioned as well. So, Kai, do you have anything to add on to this?
I think the support from the ecosystem to those onboarding projects are various. For example, like for DeFi projects, it definitely needs trading volume and TVL support, right? For those other GameFi or SocialFi needs user generation, right? And for those infrastructure or those, they probably need grants and need use cases. Because if you develop something and nobody use it, what's the point of develop it, right? So for different as a head of ecosystem or say as an ecosystem builder, we need to have a different people to aim on different customer service, to aiming with working with developer, different type of developers, because what their needs is different, and the language you speak is different. That's my take. Yeah.
All right, thanks for your opinion, Kai. So, Mark, do you want to continue on with your second point now?
Yeah, I was just going to say that it's the onus of responsibility is largely on the founder, right? They need to be creative, come up with ideas, things that they, can work around what the ecosystem provider is able to offer, right? How about maybe throwing my logo on some IRL event banners, right? Get creative, think about things you can do, and don't just kind of have grant in your mind, because that's a difficult road and one that's incredibly selective.
For sure. And you were mentioning that you had another point from AT's perspective of the ecosystems. Do you want to share more on that?
Yeah, the way that we treat ecosystems is slightly different. largely because we had a difficult time when we were up and coming, right? We were chatting with a lot of chains. I went through a big process of trying to work out where we take Aether, what our destination was. And we felt like we weren't getting very much support. Then all of a sudden we took off, we raised 150 mil, and everyone wanted to be our friend. And it was just kind of a little bit of a lesson that I learned, and it's something that my co-founder and I decided to really make an effort not to replicate as we grew. So for example, we have a $100 million ecosystem fund, right? We made a commitment to go from kind of a interview to deployment in like 48 hours, right? So we deploy capital out of that fund extremely quickly, right? We are so willing to shill and coordinate and do marketing and outreach. Like our main account is constantly sharing projects that we're partnering with, doing spaces, it's something that's very much in our DNA, and we have 500 or 600 projects in our ecosystem now. We have a very strong AI unbundled alliance with 15 to 20, top tier AI projects. Like, I think for us, we're very much about how can we use the machine that we've created to make it as easy as possible for others to come up and build. Because particularly in the AI space, catching projects early is critical, because they can go from 1 user today to 1,000 users tomorrow. And within that window, their compute requirements have 10x'd overnight, right? So we don't want them 10xing on AWS, we want them 10xing on Aether. So for us, a wide net, catch as many as we can, be, as friendly with the social presence and the community and the machine that we've built as possible, and just, inspire more and more people to be building using Web3 AI infrastructure.
All right. Yeah, we've got 5 more minutes, so I've got one last question for you, actually, Mark. As assets actually become more immersive, from AI-generated art to in-game items, how will decentralized compute power change the way we actually use these items on a daily basis?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about interaction with AI, right? Every single response you receive, every question that you ask, there is a cost to that, a compute cost, right? And when you look at more intricate responses, right? So reasoning models, stuff that give you kind of a larger, more detailed responses to questions you have, or when you think about image generation or even video generation, which is the most expensive, it becomes increasingly expensive to deliver that sort of response to people. And it's only going to get more expensive, right? As AI gets more capable, as we start asking it more complex questions, offloading more complex tasks to the AI. So to be honest, I think that if we think about an incredibly immersive AI-first, asset-first future, we're going to need a huge focus on reduction in cost of computing resources, and that really does come through decentralization. The way that Aether, or the space that Aether fills in the market, is really one of efficiency, right? You have a huge amount of compute out there sitting in the world, right? But you actually have 6 to 10 times more demand than you do actual resources. But a huge number of these resources are sitting underutilized in data centers, right? Because a company bought them and they had a production delay, or they over forecast or under whatever, right? It's sitting there. And they don't have the capability to redistribute that to other businesses elsewhere in the world. Similar to if there was a massive 6 to 10x shortage of hotel rooms, obviously everyone would be throwing their Airbnbs, on the platform, right? Their rooms would be going up left, right, and center. Same situation, right? So we use this decentralized infrastructure play to increase the efficiency of utilization of this resource, unlocking net new supply, which means all of a sudden the market can start pricing this compute at lower and lower price, and it's just a better thing for everyone that's really bullish or optimistic about that long-term future state.
And Kai, with regards to all these AI chat models and all this data that's being collected, how does this actually contradict with privacy?
Good question. This is a pop-up one, right?
Yes,
so
it is.
I used to do a lot of AI back in the fintech era. What I do is credit score computation. So basically, when people try to apply for a loan, right, they have to input all their data in many degree, like income, blah 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 blah. So when I looking at those data in the database and having the AI to feed those data to AI to do the modeling, I feel like this is not safe. So I would say in the future, or say it's actually not in the future, but if those financial institutions, they are willing, they're supposed to encrypt those data instead of leak it out. Because when those data leak it out, it actually goes to a social engineering database, which something we call open a blind box. It's very popular on TG these days, right? You give some people's name, the hacker will get that person's all the information from all over the world, those databases, and give it to you, which only costs you like $5 or something. It's like a piece of cake, right? So this is not safe. So we definitely need privacy to be applied on those financial data, personal data, governmental data, as I just previously mentioned, because government's trying to protect all those data, right? They don't want to leak those data. Yeah, so that's the layer of how privacy supposed to cover all those.
Definitely, for sure. Anyone else want to add on to that? All good? All right. If not, any final words from any of you guys? Or any questions from the audience? We can maybe take one or two questions. Anyone has anything they want to share? Or want to ask this gentleman up here? All right, if not, then I guess we've come to the end of today's panel. Thank you guys so much for joining me on stage. And
Thank you.
having
Thank you,
this
thank you.
Thanks,
panel.
guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks to all.
Thank you.
Guys, could we just maybe take one photo here together?
Cool. That's like a whole wave of people that might just try and listen to it, you know what I mean? Because you can't deny house music, like, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter what style of music you like, that loop. If you like music, you like house. You just haven't realized it yet.
All right, guys, so we've just wrapped up our first panel. From today's discussion, I think we have a very clear understanding of the core role of cross-chain interoperability, decentralized data, storage, and distributed computing networks in Web3. Web3 infrastructure is not only about tech innovation, but also about the challenges of ecosystem and compliance. In the diversified environment, the competition is no longer just between individual chains, but a comprehensive cross-chain and cross-ecosystem battle. So now we'll move on to the second panel discussion of the day. There's going to be a little bit more on AI and Web3, now that we've discussed infrastructure already. So AI has become one of the most exciting topics in the crypto industry in the last 4 to 5 months. And we have so many different AI projects popping up. Today we have invited guests from Lingo AI, For You AI, Ika, and MetaLife to discuss how artificial intelligence is bringing intelligent governance, enhanced security, and more efficient user experiences to Web3 ecosystems. From AI-powered automated decision-making to the optimization of smart contracts, AI's application in Web3 are expanding rapidly. Please join me in welcoming the host and 4 guests to the stage. We have Effendi, who's going to be the moderator, who's the founding CEO of Kobo AI, Una Wang, who's the founder and CEO of Lingo AI, Corey Pang, the CMO for Forum, Harpreet Singh, who is the founder of Ika, and lastly, Henry Wang from MetaLife, who is also the founder. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you to the organizer, Coinstore, to inviting us to this very wonderful and awesome event. So, good afternoon to everyone, and welcome to panel 2, the convergence where AI meets Web 3.0. So, artificial intelligence and Web 3 are no longer separate revolutions. They are converging. There are a lot of hype. And this is convergence is shaping the world and built on identity, inclusion, governance, and economic opportunity. I am Effendi Zulkifli. I am a founding CEO of Center for AI, Blockchain, and Advanced Research, and also the co-founder of BRICS Business School. I am based now in Jakarta and Kuala Lumpur, and I'll be the moderating these exciting discussions. So let me quickly introduce our panelists. So from my left is Una Wang, the founder and CEO of Lingo AI, championing multilingual AI. And we have Cory Pang, CMO of For You AI, focusing on applied Web3 and AI systems in Southeast Asia. We have Harpreet, my longtime friend, and Harpreet actually founder of Ika.io, a Web3 builder and entrepreneur. And we have, last but not least, the father of Web 3.0, founder of MetaLife, a leading Web3 theorist. So we have 45 minutes in this session. So basically we have a 3 round. The first round we will have main questions. The second round we will have we call as engagement question, where I will relate the questions with other panelists. And the last we will wrap up for our panel discussion. Let's now we dive into our discussions. Our question actually will be to the Henry. Henry, so what does actually the convergence of AI and Web3 for identity and governance? Please.
So, thanks James Coinstore to having me here, and thanks introduction from Effendi, as my very good friend. So, and when he introduced me, I talked about the father of Web3, but actually
The father of Web 3.0.
the Web 3.0 was coined by me in 2003, and a lot of people think it's like invented by Gavin Wood, but that's a very, very wrong concept. So, and the most important person to contribute to Web 3.0 is the founding father for the World Wide Web called Tim Berners-Lee. He introduced decentralization to Web 3.0 and in 2006. So I coined this terminology in 2003. And also the Satoshi Nakamoto actually not invented the blockchain, but he's the first one and to actually to implement the blockchain, and in 2009. So, but the data part from Tim Berners-Lee and also the value part from Satoshi Nakamoto, and cannot fully represent Web 3.0. We have to combine them both. The data 3.0 part with the finance 3.0 part, and that's a complete Web 3.0. So that's a perfect redefinition of our Web 3.0. And the identity is quite critical for the Web 3.0, because in Web 3.0, the data ownership belongs to users. So how can you do that? Because the blockchain and crypto doesn't guarantee your data belongs to yourself. For example, your data is still in Meta, in Twitter, in Amazon.com or whatever applications. So the new data protocol like Solid and MetaLife and also Lingo AI will help you to take control of your data. All data belongs to you and identified by your distributed ID. So that's DID. So DID is quite critical for the Web 3.0. And with your identity, and it can be distinguished between you and the AI. Especially, AI is independent, developed from the internet at the very beginning. But now, after the large language models, they actually trained on the astronomical and the data sets and built by our web. So the web and the AI converged. Actually, the terminology when I coined the Web 3.0 is from the AI, because we want AI to associate it with the web and in the year of 2003. But nowadays, because of the, all the AI trained on the data, it's on the centralized platform. And it will be very difficult for everyone and to get their own AI agent. Because AI agent, you need data, but your data doesn't belong to yourself. So our protocol will help you to get back your data and in your control, and data and also the value. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Harry. That sets a big picture of a foundation. Now we want to talk about the inclusion, yeah? So we want to ensure that everyone is not left behind. So Una, so how can multilingual AI can ensure underrepresented communities? By that, everyone is not left behind in the AI era.
Okay, thank you, Ifandi, for the question. And my name is Una. I'm from Lingo AI. So Lingo AI is basically doing the multilingual AI plus Web 3.0. So actually, not everyone care about like languages in AI, like large language models. So I just want to know how many of you using like ChatGPT or any other language models in your own language, not in English. Okay, one, just one.
My team.
Oh, okay. So you're using like Indonesia or
Yeah.
English, yeah. So I think there's a number for just your information. So there are 7,000 languages in this world, and half of the languages are not supported in the digital world. And they are even not supported in the AI because those people are in the lower resource languages communities. So they don't have the infrastructure to, represent, or they're doing their contribution for data, and they can be trained by like any large language model companies like OpenAI or Google. So, Google is adding 110 languages this year for just supporting more and more languages. But we know like 3,000 languages are left behind in this world, and only 0.6% of the languages are supported in the digital world, only 32 languages. So that means those rest of the languages are left behind. If we are using more and more advanced AI technologies in this world, so actually Lingo AI is doing something for helping underrepresented communities, like in Bali. I know a lot of people speak like Balinese or Javanese in Indonesia, but actually the large language models cannot support those languages. And you won't use that for generating any high quality results once you're like asking any like specific domain questions. So those are the problems. So we are going to help to diversify and expand the language data in terms of decentralized communities. That means we are building the different language DAO, like Indonesia DAO. So in those DAO, in each language DAO, there will be the project manager, the language DAO delegate, and also developers in the community, so that you will help to contribute your native language data sets there. And you can support any large language models by license your data. That means everyone in this language community, as long as you are the native speakers, so you can contribute your native language data sets. So we are using the blockchain and also the decentralized protocols. It's not just like you are using blockchain can solve all the problems. Blockchain cannot solve the data problems. Because we are now in the Web 2 era, we are using the TCP/IP and also the HTTP level protocol. So all the data flows to the centralized platform like Google or Microsoft or OpenAI or Chinese language models. So you are not the owner of your own data sets. And also, if your language or your government, local government, want to build inclusive language data set, support your own native language, your mother tongue, they cannot find the data sets because all the data sets held by the centralized social media platform. And so we are using the Web3 called Data Protocol Solid and also MetaLife.social protocol. That means you own your data from now. And once the third parties want your data, they will request the authorization from you, and you can monetize your data. So that's the totally different thing that by utilizing your own data. Yeah, so those are something that we can do to help underrepresented communities in Web3 and AI.
Wow, wonderful, Una, because right, we know, right, most of the AI LLMs, whether from Mandarin or Chinese language or from USA, right? So she is fighting for AI for any languages, including native and unrepresented communities. Okay, already from inclusion, right? So it's nice, excellent. From inclusion, let's move to the builder's perspective. So we want to talk in the real now. It's a real man now. I mean, now we want to talk to Harpreet. So Harpreet, you are the real guy on executions, right? So from a builder's perspective, so where's the real value from AI meets Web3 DApps?
I mean,
Over to you. Yeah.
Okay. I'll have to set a bit of context first why I'm super excited about this topic. So somewhere around 2017, I was doing my master's in software engineering. I took this topic called multi-agent systems. Yeah, so it's a new field of AI, right, where you basically have subset of agents that can coordinate, communicate, and collaborate with each other, make decisions, do things for you. And this is the new phase of economy and technology where you are able to delegate your daily life and task and business and execution to an AI, right? So I was studying this back in 2017. I was doing research on it. The more deeper I went into this topic, the more I got spooked. Because if you notice today's, agents, do give you wrong output. They do sometimes screw up, right? But when you give them a lot of autonomy, a lot of, your information, your data, they can go completely rogue without even knowing what is the, what are their actions or what is a response that might have from their actions, right? So when you started go deep and deep into theory, they noticed there actually is a point that AI needs a balancing technology which can put its data, which can put its rules, which can put its guardrails in check, right? So today when you write, we are using AI, they're in very closed loop systems, right? It's an open AI, it's in their servers, they kind of have the guardrails, it's okay. But when you start building agents, right? Every agent has its own LLM, every agent is thinking, every agent is learning, every agent is coding, right? And improving itself, right? Today you can even write an agent and say that, okay, I want to be the richest man. This is the goal, go and make me the richest man. He can look into hacking someone, he doesn't know ethics, right? If you don't set the guardrails, you remove the guardrails, he doesn't know ethics, right? He will basically try its level best to kind of achieve that goal. That's his job. So AI needs a balancing technology. It's more like kind of a balance of the yin and the yang, right? You need something that is automated, something that is ever-changing to have something to balance it back, right? So in this case, you want to build the core value systems, right? The core belief systems of the AI in an untamper-proof data set. And at the same time, AI needs good data, right? In this case, let's say we talk about data. Blockchain gives you verifiable, trustable, even zero-knowledge proof-based verification data, right? So if you are talking about your personal liberty in future, if today we are already surrendering a lot of our information to all the big giants, let's say tomorrow US is not happy with Indonesia or Malaysia and they decide to cut us off. Immediately now you have no open AI, you have no LLMs, you have no data, you have no database, and you're done, right? You just you piss Trump off and you're done, right? Same things happens, for example, let's say you want to shut down your cloud services, your HR services, your financial services. A lot of them has a lot of dependency on few tech giants, right? And we have somehow allowed ourselves to be that dependent on few companies and few countries, right? So when you talk about sovereignty, you talk about freedom, you talk about liberty, you talk about your future being safe, right? Your future basically having, you're protecting yourself from the big giants and also protecting yourself from, all this rogue AI, selfish AIs that will be developed, or rogue, people out there who will be building agents that might want to steal your information. You need a blockchain technology behind there to ensure, right, that everybody is playing in the set of protocol or ethics right? So in this case, if the players are not compliant to it, you can kick them out of the network. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Hapid. Now we want to hear from Corey on how we can, execute the applied system in our region. So, Corey, actually, how do we design AI plus Web3 so everyone can be involved in this industry and not left behind as a passive consumer?
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to come from a different perspective here because from here I can tell we have the academics here, we have the builders here. I'm going to come from the perspective of community because we all know what Web3 is for. Web3 is strong with community and so we need to bring in the people. We need to bring in the people to become excited or even care about AI and Web3 in the first place. So my team and I, For You AI, we started off on the Tor network. We created a Telegram mini app. And at the time when people were talking about NFTs or mini apps, we were talking about AI and bringing your data on chain, putting your identity on chain, reputation on chain. And you know what was surprising? 6 million users joined our TG mini app. And I think we need more people because the narrative for AI and Web3 now is going in a direction I think we don't want it to go. People are thinking about AI like it's a trend, like like it's something that will pass, or it's just a tool. But not a lot of people are driving the narrative that people were talking about when Ethereum came out, which was bring back the power from corporations, bring back the power to decentralize money. Right now, we're actually talking about decentralized data, and it's what every one of the panelists here are talking about. For my team, what we're doing is we're bridging the gap between what AI plus Web3 can do, and then we are bringing in the community, and we're making it cool as well. So the platform that we're actually building right now is, if you can think of it like the Steam store for AI apps, AI dApps, and communities. So right now, we are bringing on, we are also promising our users, promising our users that their data will become their assets as well. So right now, I think we have, at this panelist, we have the academics, we have the trading dApps as well, but there needs to be more people that are coming in to make AI plus Web3 more sexy, and I'm coming from that direction.
All right, okay, thank you, Corey. You see now, we are actually representing the whole Asian. Henry from China, Harpreet from Malaysia, and also Corey from Singapore. Una, I'm not sure from where, so beautiful. I think she representing the whole Asian, and me from Indonesia. So we are representing 680 million population, right? Okay, now we are going to the second round of the session where we have an engagement between, the question will be engaged between the panelists. Please let me know if you can enter, you can interrupt and adapt. So I want to ask back to Henry, the godfather of Web 2.0. So Henry, actually, because you mentioned just now about agent AI, right? Agentic AI, right? So is it how actually agentic AI can redistribute it between this community and the people? Yeah, please.
Yeah.
The wealth can distribute the wealth into the people. Yeah.
Yeah. So initially our web is from 1995. So it's got triggered by the Netscape, but the protocol was designed in 1989. When it was designed, it's called mesh. It's not called the World Wide Web. So the mesh means so everyone is equal. So everyone was powered by protocol. So we have our data, and it's very decentralized. But unfortunately, the protocol is too simple. Therefore, some like a peer grow so large, grow into Meta, grow into Facebook and Twitter. And our individual peer is so small, so we lose everything. So the data was stored in the platform and also with the wealth. So Meta is so rich, and they can buy anyone from OpenAI, right? For, you know how much? It's a $100 million
Yeah.
salary. That's
Can
crazy,
retire.
right? That's crazy. Because they can buy everyone from OpenAI. OpenAI is also a very big company. So how can those startups, you know, compete with the giant? That's the Web 3.0. You know why Web 3.0 can redistribute all the wealth? Because the internet wealth actually come from the data. So if we have protocols to decentralize the data, return all the data, the ownership to everyone, then we redistribute the data sets. Because in AI era, you know the AI agent is your data plus the edge AI. So the edge AI we are working on, for example, Lingo AI already been selected into the Qualcomm and the program. Qualcomm is making chip for the edge AI, for device, for laptop, for your cell phone. If everyone can own their own data, then they run the AI agent on their devices. So they don't depend on the centralized AI, because centralized AI is the AI spy in your devices. So everybody agree on that, right? So MetaLife protocol and the Solid protocol, Lingo AI protocol, help you to get back your data. And we build the AI agent on your devices. So that's purely work for you. And the AI agent can be your data agent, where they can help to monetize your data. You know data is the fuel for the AI era. Data is the gold for the digital world. So your data controlled by yourself will be your wealth in the future. Because currently, you earn your salary or like your like income by labor. But unfortunately, AI and robots will replace all those positions need labor. So in the future, you can only make earning by your data. So that's why your AI agent will be extremely important to help you to get back your data. It will completely redistribute the wealth, and also the governance of the internet will be so different in the future. Yeah, because currently the big players actually govern the whole internet. But with real Web 3.0, it's from bottom up and multi-stakeholder, where the United Nations, because we founded the Singapore Internet Governance Forum. So for this organization in the future, is the whole, United Nations, and will represent everyone from bottom up and the multi-stakeholder, and to do the internet and the AI governance in the future. Okay, so this is a great, trend, a great opportunity for everyone to join together to redistribute the whole wealth for the humanity. Yes.
All right, thank you. Henry mentioned about this kind of a decentralized AI. So I would like to ask Harpreet. So in this kind of decentralized systems, so which one actually is a very important? Whether technical standard in order to the key to the AI governance, whether the technical standards or community governments. Harpreet, can you resolve this question?
You're talking in a governance way, right? Yes. So if you really look from the point of governance, right, today, if you look into like how Virtuals is doing it or how the other protocols are doing it, it's very much focused from how communities are already governing around the crypto space, right? But I think it's time for us to start having layer one for AI, purpose-built layer ones for AI, where you actually can get rid some of the elements that are crypto-centric, right? And build more stuff for agentic ecosystems. Because today when you look into agents, when you, for example, an AI or an agent might be communicating between themselves like for thousands of times just to make a decision, right? In this case, imagine every transaction has to be logged onto a blockchain, right? And has to be paid a gas amount. the amount of fees that I will be paying for that kind of transaction is just going to be crazy. So it's going to be troublesome. So L1 AI or any sort of purpose-built protocol, I think we're going to be seeing some of those popping up in the next few years, right? And with that, you will see another surge of agentic projects, right? And agentic use cases forming up from that as well. So that's what I foresee. So I have this problem. So I'm always too early into the game, right? So I was like maybe 10 years too early into multi-agent systems. They still haven't arrived. It'll take another 2-3 years for it to come in, right? I was too early in blockchain, right? Maybe 12 years ahead of its time. And now only I feel time is getting sexier because we always estimate the long-term growth of the ecosystem by just viewing the short-term cycles, right? If you look like short-term, yes, there's a buzz, there's a bull, there's a buzz, there's a bull. AI is a hype, then not hype, then hype, there's not hype. But if you look a long-term trajectory, you zoom it out, it's actually kind of like growing exponentially, right? Really fast. So same thing here, when we talk about governance side in technical standards. We need L1s, we need these new protocols to have technical governance standards built in, right? In this case, what should be the belief, the ethos, the guardrails, the structure of this AI protocol, how such a community, for example, let's say you're building a community of agents, right? In this case, for example, let's say you want to do this for trade or crypto trading or for a particular project. You have a bunch of AI that's producing images, producing marketing material, producing brand awareness campaigns for your company, right? You want to put in your company ethos. What's your brand guidelines, right? What you should go, what you can promote, what you can't promote, right? Let's say suddenly everybody is talking about memes on the community. The AI now learn, okay, I should be doing meme, but which meme is appropriate for your brand, right? So those are the set of guardrails and a kind of technical standards we have to build in the protocol, in the contracts itself, right? To ensure that we are getting optimal results, but at the same time able to secure what is the the responses of this AI generally.
Okay, thank you, Harpreet. So now we are talking about we want to go deeper. We want to go deeper on the decentralized AI and data governance. So I would like to ask Yuna. So compare to this kind of decentralized AI, data governance, which one is better? Compared to the closed systems. Please, Una.
Yeah, I think speaking about the decentralized AI, we should know what is decentralized AI about. So actually, a lot of people are doing like decentralized GPU or decentralized data, or some decentralized community who can help to decentralize the infra from what we can compare to the centralized things. But actually, the most important part of the decentralized, the first thing we have to resolve is about the data, because now we are knowing that we have so many powerful language models in this world because they are using a very powerful centralized like GPU infrastructure, and also they are using a tremendous data size from our public internet, previously, collected by our people, accumulate 20 years. And they utilize all the data sets to train the large language models. They are using a very powerful GPU to train the models. So I think this is probably the advantage that why we can have so much powerful language model today. But once we get deeply about the knowledge or what are some, the governance problem we should solve, we are thinking about now is, we attended the United Nations IGF Internet Governance Forum this year, just 1 month ago. So a lot of country delegates, from different countries, IGF, they are raising more problems about we don't have our own data center and we don't have our own data size because those like centralized platforms like Google or Microsoft or OpenAI, they are collecting our data and they are training the model based on our data, and then they will charge the fees for our people. And we don't have the benefit from any consent of how the centralized platform using our data. And even there's no, like power that the individuals or small nations or small countries can negotiate with the large centralized platforms. So that's the problem. And also in the future, like language models lack of multilingual and high quality specific domain data sets now. And they're looking for more like data size in terms of the vendors who can help collect those data. But this will cause the problem of clonizing them. It's like people are collecting the data from your local community, but you're not getting paid by consent your data one more time. They are collecting your data and they sell your data once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and they get paid. But you are not the one who get benefit from your own data. So that's called the data sovereignty. So you don't have the laws, governance, or culture norms of how other people use your data in terms of how you generate your data. You don't have the ownership. So this is a problem, and how that's how Web3, we call the third generation of the web, or the next value internet, can solve this problem. It's like people are using the decentralized protocol, and I see a lot of European companies or US companies are doing that for decentralized protocols, or really disrupt the Web 2, like HTTP. They're doing more decentralized one. They're returning the data ownership to each users. So that means users have your personal data storage on your local phone or local PC, which can be offline. And there will be more like smaller models, like small parameters models run on your local edge device. So it will based on your local like personal private data and combine with your local small models to generate your personal any results, like help you to buy your tickets or plan a travel. Yeah, so this is called the personal AI agent. So this one is, I think there's more like demand from Europe people or like Chinese people or any other like people who are more caring about their privacy, their data privacy, and people are knowing that my data is collected by all the centralized platforms and don't have any benefit for owning that. So that's how Lingo AI can help that. We are building 7,000 language DAOs. Everyone can be in the language DAO community, and everyone can apply for the DAO delegate in the future. And you can own your local community data sets. And then Lingo AI help you to license and monetize your data size. In terms of an OpenAI needs Indonesia language data size, then we will buy from this language DAO, and you will decide how much I can monetize and how many times, how long I can authorize to the OpenAI or third parties. So you will, once the other companies want the same data set, you can monetize once more time. So that's called ownership, that you can decide how long you can authorize your data sets and how much money you can monetize as long as you would like to. So those are calling, like in the first phase, we are building the decentralized data size for monetizing, because people or third parties will pay for your data size. And next, you will have accumulate your own data, like 10 types of the data, like social media data, finance data, health data in the future. And if the hospital wants your data, you can authorize and they will pay you. And if like any social media platform, they need the data, marketing companies, they need your data, they will request from your data size. So in the future, you have all those data sets ready, and you will have your own small language model run on your phone, and it will generate your own personal AI there. So this is called the decentralized AI. First is the data, and second is the model, small language model offline. Yeah, so that's basically what we're doing now.
Okay, thank you, Yuna. I have been to 25 countries, almost 30 countries on advisory, doing development in Web3, and I could see that a lot of issues of non-ethics because of the anarchist things in the Web3, in the crypto world, right? So my question to Corey, we want to develop the decentralized AI, right? But how we want to ensure we are responsible, in terms of ethics, while we are driving the innovation and the growth in this kind of industry, decentralized AI.
Before I start, I just want to ask like my co-panelists, do you guys think that we are early or we are late to bring AI to Web3? What do you guys think?
I think we're still too early, actually. Yeah, I still feel that there's still a lot of opportunity. I mean, like people will be seeing like, oh, we lost like one of the bull runs of AI. I think there's many to come. Right? There's a lot of untapped use cases. There's a lot more agentic ecosystem to be developed around. There's a lot more. I think in the next 5 years, when we come back to CoinFest, I will think there will be 70 to 80% of the room will be AI blockchain. It won't longer be, because you talk about DeFi AI, you talk about all the financial use cases, you talk about all the LLMs, you talk about the services, you talk about the NFTs. Every single thing has an AI element. So at least 70 to 80% on the next 5 years, CoinFest will be AI driven. So we are too early.
Totally agree with you. But on the other hand, from Henry's side, he brings up the good point that we have major competitors, hundreds of millions into all those AI scientists, and we are fighting against central AI as well. I'm not sure this time, but I think maybe I'm going to answer your question is that I think for us to have responsible AI, it is to continue building, and I agree with Una on one part, which is to start from inclusion, because that's the main thing that the central AI is missing out on.
Yes.
I mean, like all of us here are probably familiar with ChatGPT. We're already paying for the premium subscription, $20 a month, and it's we can't deny how helpful it is. But then the people that you mentioned just now from the countries like Java that have their countries, even in I think Mongolia as well, China as well, they have their own language. And I still agree with you that there are many opportunities that we can still be on top of the game, be on top of all these central players. So I'm just gonna talk about one example from the Indo perspective. Is that when 3 years ago when I came into Indo, I was quite I was quite shocked that the payment system in Indo was actually better than Singapore. And do you know why?
Really?
Do you know why? Because Indonesia rolled out QRIS.
Wow.
Right? And it was actually, it actually made me think like, oh, how come Singapore, we're falling a bit behind? Because from China, they have Alibaba Pay.
Okay.
And if you go to the street and you're paying, and you're paying in cash, someone might be like, oh, don't give me this, just give me like Alipay. So when Indonesia launched QRIS, right, it actually broke records as well. It was one of the record breaking and made payments so simple. Even for Singaporean, I use QRIS as well.
Yep.
So now Singapore, we're getting better. Even in some of the kopitiams, right? They still say no, don't pay me in QRIS. Don't pay now me. Just give me cash and stuff. But I think for Web3 and AI, that's where we can come in as well. There's still a chance for us to get ahead of the game, and that's where we need to think creatively actually to beat the game, because the competitors are so fast. They have all the tech, they have all the engineers, they have all the money, and they know that in the future, if they were to really become, if we were to become centralized, right? Basically, we'll be living in a world that's very similar to Matrix. Everyone will be tapped into, your data will not be yours, and it's actually a fight I think we should be fighting. I think one way that we can do is, I'm going to go back to what I mentioned just now, is we continue building, but we make it accessible for the users. One way is by using NFTs as well.
Okay.
Because I was talking with Henry just now that to put data on chain is so expensive. But for us, how we actually counted it is we use NFT and we put everything tagged to the NFT. And when you create an ID, right? All your data actually doesn't have to be on chain, but what do the Web3 people go crazy about? They go crazy over their NFTs, their profile pictures, and that's where we're coming in as well, to bring AI and Web3 to the masses. So I think
Thank you.
we need to continue to
All right.
build ethically, but then we need to push out the product as well. If not, we'll just
Yes.
be building in a silo, and we have major competitors that we need,
All right.
are currently outrunning us.
Okay, thank you so much, Corey. It's a very nice explanation. So actually, we don't have enough time. Actually, we need actually 3 days to discuss this topic. Actually, but of course, we are not so lucky to have more time. So I think we need to wrap up. Everyone need to have we will close the session, but everyone need to talk 1 minute only. Yeah. So Henry first. Please tell the audience what we need to do for this kind of a convergence. 1 minute only. One things that we need to do for the convergence of AI and Web3. Please share. 1 minute only. Yeah.
So we have a very noisy neighbor. So, but it's a funny part of the conference, right? So you see, we have so many conferences, so professional, so serious. But the Coinfest Bali is very casual, and the life is like work, right? So in the future, meta life is just, a meta life is some kind of a life beyond your silicon-based life and your carbon-based life. So because you can, even after you passed away, your data and the large language model can be your life. So your life based on data
Yeah.
and not based on labor. So
Your life is
join
your
us
data.
in the future.
Your life is your data. All right. Hafid, 1 minute only. How
Okay.
we need to prepare for convergence between AI and also Web3.
I mean, I will just want to point out for the earlier point, right? I mean, we are not too late. If you really look into OpenAI and all the other guys who are coming in with billions of dollars of funding, but you have to realize one thing about intelligence. When
Yeah.
you try to be expert in everything, you're expert in nothing, right? When you try to be a very big database, you try to be good in a lot of things, you never become good in something. That's
Okay.
why when you look into a network-based intelligence model, when you look into multi-agent systems, where you have a network of multiple different expertise developed by various different companies with very different backgrounds, with very different type of protocols and perceptions, right? It will be different, right? Now you will build network-based intelligence, and it is a very big opportunity at the moment for everyone like us who's trying to develop something in the agentic space. So last call, so if anybody wants to build something in AI, if you're an AI engineer, come and see me afterwards, I'm hiring. Okay, that's it.
One word, meet him after this. Okay, let's Corey. One thing, what we need to prepare for the convergence, yeah, AI and Web3, AI and decentralized AI, yeah.
I'm just going to plug my project here. So, we're actually going to have our airdrop soon, and then we're going to be launching very soon together with Somnia as well.
Okay.
So our MVP is going to be live soon, and I'm going to say that for the convergence of AI and
All
Web3,
right.
support the people that are building in that convergence.
Yes, support,
Yeah.
the word support
So-
and get the airdrop, okay?
Yeah. So support everyone here. We're currently building. We're trying our best. We're doing the marketing. We're doing the word spreading. We're talking about it. We're here to share and
All right, okay, thank you. Now, Una, please. You are the best one because you're the last. Please share.
So I just want to share that everyone can start to build and own your data footprint and get the value capture to support your personal native language identity in the future.
All right, thank you to our panelists and to all of you for being here. Today we've seen that the convergence of AI and Web3 is not just technicals, it's inclusion, governance, and of course the real world impacts. So I would like to close our session with the English wisdom quote. I have many pens, my pens are blue. I have many friends, my friends are you. Thank you.
thank you.
All right, thank you to all our panelists for this wonderful session. Could I get you guys to stand on the stage for a quick photo session?
That's like a whole wave of people that just might just
All right,
try and
once
listen
again,
to it,
thank you
know
so
what I mean?
much to our
Because
panelists and
you can't deny
moderator for
house
the
music,
insightful
like,
discussion.
it doesn't matter
We now
what
see that AI and Web3 will be the key driving force behind the next round of tech innovation, be it in Web2 or in Web3. AI's role in decentralized finance is also growing in importance and will help foster smarter capital flows and trading strategies in the future. The fusion of AI and Web3 is not just a technological combination, but it is about enhancing decentralized finance through autonomous organizations and other applications through smart applications and automation. This convergence is not just about upgrading technology, but also redefining the governance models of the future Web3 ecosystem. Next up, we have our third panel of the day. Having covered AI, we now focus much more on the underlying public chains in Web3. In the fast-paced development of the crypto industry, public chains remain the focus and foundation of all blockchain projects, especially high-performance public chains. Today, we have representatives from some giants in the industry, including Pairhive, Kia, and Say Network, who will share how they address the limitations of current public chains through high performance, high throughput, and low latency. Let's welcome the host and three guests to the stage to share how to build the next generation of Web3 public chain infrastructure. We have the moderator for today, Jerry, Regional Manager at Coinstore. We have the CEO of Pairhive, Vincent Yeo. We also have the Head of Gaming and Consumer Partnerships, Paulo from Kaya. And lastly, the Director of Games, Jason from Say Network. Please put your hands together for them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for a very kind introduction, Najee. Of course, Jerry here from Coinstore, the regional manager. Of course, here we have Vincent, Paulo, and of course, Jason. I think to start off, well, I think why not a short introduction of yourself? What do you do and who you are? What's your project about before we kickstart the questions as well? Okay, Vincent.
Hi, I'm Vincent. So I run Pairhive, where it's a protocol where SMEs can raise short-term debt financing on our platform, raising in stable coins like USDT, USDC, even in IDRX or MYRC.
My name is Paulo from Kaya. Kaya is a layer 1 chain, very mobile first centric. We do all the apps in Line Messenger, and we also do very heavily on stables as well.
Hi everyone, my name is Jason. I'm the Director of Gaming at Say Development Foundation. So Say is the first parallelized CBM blockchain. We combine the best of Ethereum and Solana in terms of dev tooling, mindshare, performance, and scalability. And right now, we are basically very focused on gaming right now.
Thank you. I mean, very, very short introduction, literally. I mean, today the topic is about the breakout battle of a high-performance public chain. Before, running into questions, any opinions, any takes on a very personal level in terms of this? I mean, of course, we have Say and of course Hakaya here. Pairhive, you will soon to be, in fact, one of your own chain as well. What's your opinions on this here?
Let me start first, right? Pairhive is not actually looking to build any chain. Yeah, but it will be a very huge investment cost on that end. So instead, we will be working with multiple chains and offers our financial product across a chain that is suitable to work with us. Let's say Sui or even Kaya in this case. Right now, we are looking to deploy into Arbitrum, XDC chain, as well as any EVM compatible chain at the moment, even XRP as well.
Sorry, what's the question, bro?
So, what is your opinion in terms of the public chains and everything? There's so many public chains out in the market. I mean, for our own personal opinions, like there's so many competitors in the market, right? Yeah. What makes it stand out more for, Kaya itself?
How does Kaya stand out? Or why are there so many chains?
Both, either way.
Why are there so many chains? Because so many people want to take market share and make the money sla. And then they're just betting that they'll take enough distribution and enough leverage, and they're faster than anyone else. And that's why you have too many chains. I don't think it could be about the tech also. I mean, we're all about the tech, but I think that's one. Number two, to be fair, many of the chains have their unique niches as well, especially because the teams are different, their strengths are different. Some are leaning more to AI, some are leaning more to security, some have more strong strengths in finance or in games, So I think that naturally carves a niche. And then, well, the world is big, right? We have only tapped 3%, right? 97% of the liquidity is still up for grabs. So I think that's why we have a lot of chains. We can still get along. We do, yeah. And the pond is big, lah.
So I think say is pretty straightforward, right? We have the fastest time to finality at 400 milliseconds. We have the lowest gas fee in the space. And I think what makes us stand out the most is we have very strong connections, or I would say relationship with a lot of ecosystem partners, be it like exchanges, MMs or whatnot. And right now, we are looking very heavily into marketing. I think this is basically what makes a chain different. It's not just about the technical side of things, but beyond that, how do you help your project succeed? What kind of support you are able to provide your projects? And of course, beyond that, the kind of relationship that we have in the space.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, I think to kick off and start off with the first question for most of the audience here, the competition of high-performance public chains, right? Ultimately depends on the ecological kind of applications that you guys have. Okay, not sure if you agree. So the question is, can your project truly produce middle-level on-chain applications in the future that we are looking at? I mean, in the near 5 years, 10 years down the road, when everybody adopts crypto.
Okay, I can go first. So from the gaming point of view, I would say this is definitely a yes, right? Right now, our approach when it comes to, especially when it comes to gaming, is to onboard games with millions of users, right? So right now, if you look at the radar, we are actually the #1 gaming chain in terms of number of users, sitting at 50 million, above OPBNB over the past 30 days. We have already scaled above native chains like Immutable, Ronin and all. So, in terms of network effect, Say is definitely there. Not just in terms of future, but I think right now we are already onboarding the masses. And one of my product is called Quiz Match. They have just finished integration with Robi, which is one of the biggest telco in Bangladesh. So they're going to get exposed to over 50 million users. And time will tell, right? Whether can we really support the kind of number of users.
I think for us, what kind of dApps? I think there's some proof of concept. So we distribute this year. We did the same similar strategy with Telegram, right? Where we have mini apps on chain, but on the Line Messenger. So we've onboarded about 63 million new wallets since January, 3 times than Ton even. So I think that's enough proof of concept. And not just that, there's also revenue. So I think about 12 million US, just in on-chain alone, not even including credit card payments. So I think the dApps, but I think that's not us. That's because the dApps are entertaining. So like Jason said, it all boils down to the value that the apps actually generate to the user, so that the user doesn't just extract value, but they contribute and actually pay money. Yeah.
Right. From the project perspective, right, we are assessing when we are deploying into new chains, we are assessing 3 main criteria in this case. We are looking at the wallet address, total number of wallet address, your liquidity provision within the ecosystem itself, and how complete is the ecosystem itself, right? So we are looking at on-off-ramp partners, even the liquidity providers on the chain itself. So this is one of the few perspectives that we are looking at when we are deploying onto a new chain. From the project perspective, if we are lack of any one of this, I could say the deployment on that certain chain will ultimately fail, right? So this is one of our main concerns. Like how we work it out on Arbitrum is the low cost of gas fees, and even the liquidities on Arbitrum is so huge that it's very hard for us to be like, ignore that segment entirely. Then ultimately it comes back to the users demographic on the chain itself. You have Bloom, which is RWA native network, and which fits very well with us as well. So yeah, this is my takes, and this is how a project like us can grow into a million, like what you have been saying.
So basically, like project giants, like public chain giants are really out there. Totally agree with you. Like there's always enough chains out there, but there are still people building, and especially they say there's different strengths to each and every chain itself, which is pretty interesting, and it's definitely for more of the people out there to actually do your own research, get to know it better as well. So I mean, like coming to the next question, it does kind of correlates to what I just asked as well, and then what you guys just said. The Web2 giants are also coming in, and especially they're adopting the crypto now. As you see in a lot of markets, Hong Kong, India, Korea itself, there's a lot of Web2 giants. They are also thinking of coming into doing their own public chain, doing their own layer 1. So what's your take of the Web2 people coming into Web3 itself?
I think in the past, especially when it comes to gaming, there's actually a lot of companies who want to build their own layer 1, especially in Korea. I think the biggest difference and the biggest downside that they may have will be, the understanding that they have in the space, right? It's not that they shouldn't build their own layer 1, but the thing is that if they're coming in, they're going to be competing with the rest who really understand the space, right? And how would then be, the existing community feels like? I think this is going to be a big problem they definitely need to address. It's not like, they have the know-how, they have the financial, they can just enter the space. But of course, all these, big IoT companies, be building their own infrastructures or coming in to use the blockchain technology, I think this is basically, a proof that they actually acknowledge that, Web3 is here to stay. As a blockchain, as a foundation, this is going to be something, everybody in the space, or in fact, like from day-to-day life that we're going to use in future.
Well, I guess our strategy to make to capture the Web2 users of these big tech giants is like what Jason said, just use whatever they're using, right? So we were started by a Korean company like Kakao, which is one of the biggest companies in Korea. They started this chain. This year we're working with Korindo, which is in Indonesia, a very big commodity shipping company. We're financing their ships. So there is demand there, for example. You can see it in Indonesia, right? Toko Crypto. Toko was started by the Gojek group, right? And then we're working with GrabJube as well, where we tokenize loans or like payday loans, but using on-chain to make sure that they can still get their money, and we also make sure that they get paid, which is the big problem in Klarna, in the US, right? Buy now, pay later. People keep borrowing money, but there's never a guarantee for them to get paid. So we're actually thinking it through with Grab, for example, that what if we just tokenize these salaries, put it on smart contract, that if they borrow money from the company, we can tokenize it, and then the next time their salaries come in, it can be done on-chain, and if they didn't pay, if they owe something, it's deducted from that, So I guess the short answer is, as long as we use whatever that they're already doing, we don't make them adopt to a new app, a new platform, that reduces friction. Because whenever you introduce friction, you have to pay for the user acquisition cost. And not many people factor that in. You have to pay for the product, and then you have to pay for user acquisition. If we remove that, we can make them generate revenue quickly, break even more quickly as well.
So from the project perspective, right, we always say this sentence: the next $1 billion is not going to make from the Web3 native. It's going to be made within the Web2, people that's non-Web3 native. So what PeerHive does right now in Indonesia is that we are working with local rural banks in South Java region, West Java region, sorry. So what we are doing is we are financing all this bank to push this funds downstream. We are directly working with this bank in terms of the bank will be acquire deposits from us. That's how it works. And in this way, right, we are already tapping onto their existing user base without going through a hefty user acquisition cost in this case. And if we are looking at non-Indonesian project like in Malaysia, we are actually working closely with the regulators in Malaysia as well to obtain a sandbox application there. So when coming with a regulatory accreditation, I hope this would attract much more users onto our platform. So this is our long-term game plan. And yeah, what we're trying to do is to, like what my panelists here said, is that to reduce the friction. Ultimately, how to reduce the friction is provide them as a better UI, UX experience, very good. So let them know they're interacting with an app without knowing which chain they're using is the best way. And they don't need to care about the gas fee and all that. Oh my God, that is going to be game changer with the ecosystem already.
Okay, thank you. Really out of the norm, the questions that, you just spoke about it just got me something on my mind itself. We are moving into, the things that's been happening these few months, the regulatory has been hitting in. Do you think, in terms of being a public chain, being a project itself, right? does regulatory actually affects, the better of this? Do you think it plays a very big part? Maybe someone can start first.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I think regulation actually affects a lot. Let's say as a Singaporean, I'll speak for Singapore itself, right? Like right now, MAS actually implemented a new rule. Any company without approved regulation, you can't launch a token in Singapore. Basically means that any project that's in Singapore right now, they can't launch a token unless they are regulated, right? So this is going to be huge, right? This basically means that A, either all the products have to move out, or B, you have to look for, MAS to basically approve you for your products to be, having the capability to launch tokens. So in my opinion, I think this is something that a lot of people have to consider. And of course, when you talk about, on the other side, when you talk about like laws and stuff, especially when it comes to legalizations, of your protocol within the country itself, this is also something that I think for SAY, we are very particular. And that's the reason why we actually chose New York to be our HQ, because we're actually regulated there. And it's not that easy to get it there. And it's also the kind of like confidence, the affirmation that, we are giving to the users on whether, is a chain being regulated and where are they regulated. Because it's basically giving them the kind of confidence and assurance that this is, legitimate.
Well, you'll have to understand why there's regulations to begin with. Regulations are there to protect the everyday person that prospectively wants to buy your token or participate or commit their capital. So the job of the government is to protect its people from companies like this. That's why in publicly listed companies, every statement that they have, they're accountable to the government and to the people. But we don't have that scrutiny, you see. But at the same time, we do ask for capital commitment from the public as if we're a publicly listed company. So I think in that lens, I know it's against the cypherpunks mission, but we also have to understand that if it's a contrast, because we want Web 2 adoption and retail mainstream adoption. The only way is to play by the rules. Sometimes playing by the rules may suck, but most of the time it also unlocks you that liquidity, that Web 2 liquidity. So we see that, but the good thing is that the current sentiment is very positive because of US and Genius and Trump. There's a wave. So that affected us, for example, in Korea. Now, because of that, the new president in Korea is very pro-crypto, pro-stablecoins. Now you see all the banks lining up. In Vietnam, you see that within the last 6 months, they changed like 30 over officials, just within 6 months. It's a communist country, but they made such a big change. You know what I mean? So you can see that there is a wave. We are heading towards regulations. It also means that we are unlocking that, adoption soon enough. It's a bit painful and it's a bit restrictive, and it's a lot of paperwork. But we also have to know that it really is aimed to protect the everyday person, on the street. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. So if we are looking at regulations, right, it always there to protect you, no matter what. Retail investors is one of the most vulnerable populations that is prone to be scammed, rug pull. So what the government's trying to do is they want to reduce all these things. That's why they are slowly introducing regulations into the ecosystem. And for PeerHive, right, we are actually dealing with a lot of capital market solutions out there. We are dealing with debt financing and all that, right? So it's very important for us to get regulated. So during the time of us being founded, we are actually a compliance-first protocol out there. So what we're trying to do is, once we're able to obtain all these regulations, we are able to unlock a brand new segment of people that we can cater with in terms of clients, lenders, borrowers, liquidity providers. And this is actually a pathway for Web 2, even Web 1 people to enter the market as an entry point to the crypto ecosystem without the needs of understanding what is crypto, what is blockchain and all these things. This is what makes it revolutionary in terms of the entire blockchain ecosystem.
Hey, thank you guys for, of course, answering this kind of like very heavy topic, especially during this year. This is one of the biggest topics that we actually had to talk about. Okay, so moving on to the next question. Everyone's public chain has accumulated numerous corporation cases. Based on your practical experience, right? which industry scenarios really needs blockchain? Maybe like Vincent, you can start off first.
Yeah, so serving the niche market of SMEs, MSMEs within the region, right, is that we often see a very big financing gap. And the cost of funding for debt financing in the region, we can see high double digit, let's say go up to 20 or 30% in this case. So what we are trying to do, we are unlocking the blockchain liquidities, push it into the real world economy in this case. So in terms, we are allowing the MSME to grow their business at a lower cost of funding. This is the same case for the banks itself. The rural banks in Indonesia actually has a cost of funding of around 10+%. We are able to reduce this by half or even two-thirds of it to around 6.5 to 7% in this case. So in the long run, we can see a much more healthier debt financing in the ecosystem where we are not looking at entering a downward spiral in this case. So yeah, MSMEs is a very lucrative market for blockchain adoptions. And yeah.
I'll give you a few examples of what we're trying to do, right? So for example, here in Indonesia, we're helping with ship financing for Galactica, for ships, because ships are very hard, it's very hard to buy and sell them. You need like 5 to 10 million per ship. And then who's gonna give you that money? You know, it's very difficult for banks to give you that kind of money. So, but if it's tokenized, you know, if it's done in smaller pieces, like 100K, and so if it's done on chain, it can be done. It's like a lease to earn, lease to own kind of approach, but done on chain. But liquidity is a lot more accessible. In commodities, like in Singapore, what we're trying to do is 80% of commodities trade is legit, 20%, 10 to 20% is either illegal or from sanctioned countries. So for example, if oil comes from Russia, it needs to go somewhere, right? They need to trade it, but the banks won't touch it, you know? So some people, that's where crypto is necessary. Because as long as it's something stable, you can on and off ramp it in a legal way, but it's transacted initially on chain as well, that the banks don't touch. That's a damn good use case. One ticket of coal alone is $2 to $4 million bucks, right? And oil is 15 to 20 million. That's immediate KPI for your OTC desks. You know what I mean? In one transaction. So this is for commodities. In gaming, for example, because we do games, right? You know, Nexon was fined millions of dollars for gaming their gacha, because they were tweaking the gacha in a way that makes people like pay more money. And the more people pay money, the less chances they got for the gacha. You know what I mean? If that's done on chain and it's visible, that's a direct use case. That it's not just fluff like, oh, player ownership, whatever shit. You know what I mean? This can actually help you for transparency against gaming companies that just control abusively. You know, so these are just small little use cases, but there are real use cases, and they do matter for the user and for the institutions.
I want to just say that this is my own opinion. It's nothing related to say. So my own take is artists, creators, they should have, the freedom of their IPs being, utilized on blockchain, right? Having their own creators or having their own fans supporting themselves. I think that's something that, a lot of people have been talking about, but that wasn't really a real implementation, right? Because right now, if you look at all the platforms that's out there, be it like TikTok, Instagram, Meta, or whatever not, all these platform actually owns all this data, be it from the creators or be it from the users themselves, right? And I can't remember, was it in 2017 or 2018 where there was a spike in terms of like streaming platforms. I think in Indonesia there's a couple, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, they were all fighting over the same pool of creators. But because of like contractual issues, all these creators couldn't leave the platform. And, because of things like this, it bothers me where, if these creators themselves, they actually have the, freedom or luxury to basically do or create whatever they want and put everything on the blockchain where people can then utilize and tap into, I think that could be huge.
Thank you. I mean, of course, hearing from all the panelists here, I think we can all really conclude to this day, there's really no mutual and common understanding like which industry really needs a public chain, in fact, everyone has their own use case. That's why, there's Say Network, Is Kaya here providing different use cases as well? So I mean, coming down and boiling down to more on a very personal question basis wise, maybe for Kaya itself, well, let's start off. Like, for Kaya, how to build a super application blockchain designed specifically for large-scale adoption of Asian Web3 applications?
How to build something that's designed for massive adoption. I think we're all trying to do that, right? So we've already answered a bit like, we remove friction. How do you remove friction? You make them do away with whatever, seed phrase, onboarding, whatever stuff. You abstract those away. Number two, you meet the users where they are. So we apply that. So we've received 100 million users so far, right? Within just 6 months. Lastly, is why would they go to crypto? I think it's really because they want to earn more money, right? So the next super dApp that we're actually building, or inside our ecosystem, is actually an earns protocol. It's a very simple staking program, right? But we distribute it in line, give them 5%. Compare that to the Japanese country that gives you 0.3% yield. You know what I mean? And if they can access it here in their local language, in the messenger they use 2-4 hours a day, then it's a big win, I think. So that's one thesis that we're working on. Otherwise there's no point for them to use crypto. it's really just, that's why, right? It's really just it's just for yields, to get more money and more capital, better than Web 2. Similar to, in other news right now, piracy is coming back because all our Netflix and Hulu are so fragmented and they're becoming ads. You know what I mean? So it's a worse service. So people are coming back to piracy. So similarly, in Web 2 and in finance, if there's a worse service, worse yield, and worse UX, then they would there'll be a hunger and demand for something better. So that's what we're trying to offer.
Very insightful, very insightful. Okay, so for this, we can move on to, of course, for PureHive itself, okay? As a decentralized lending platform, PureHive uses blockchain technology to change the traditional lending experience. How can investors easily obtain loan opportunities across the multiple platforms?
So if we are looking at multiple platform, right, we are looking at cross-distribution of financial product on the blockchain ecosystem. So what we can do is, first off, we can specify what type of financing we are looking at. Because in debt financing or fixed income product, there might be fixed deposits, bonds, or even trade financing, all this. These are all different products and in all different protocols. Centrifuge is offering, Goldfinch is offering such product as well. So when we look down, we need to understand what is the users looking for. If a user is looking for much higher yield in terms of APY, they can go for a trade financing product that is offering 20+% per annum. And this is one of the highest. But if you are looking at a safe play, you can just go for a tokenized deposit into a local banks that's offering also a healthier APY of around 6.5. Comparing to Singapore, it's sub 1 to 2%, right? Right. So this is one of the key plays that we are looking at as well. So in terms, I want to revert back to a question that you asked to Kaya just now, right? Is that when we approach to the sandbox application team in Securities Commission in Malaysia, the one thing they would ask us is that, how would you attract Web2 users in this case? I say, we can work that out by working directly with local stablecoins in Malaysia, like MRC from blocks. What we're going to do is that we are open up for fiat deposits in Malaysia ringgit through our bank account, then we will sell them Malaysia ringgit at cost basis or even one-to-one basis. So from there on, we can actually attract large populations of fiat peoples in Malaysia and then bring them onto the blockchain ecosystem, which is also in line with the Malaysian government roadmap for blockchain adoptions right now.
Thank you, thank you. So moving on to, of course, the last personal question for Jason. All right. As for Say Network, are you seeing any interest from traditional gaming studios exploring Say quietly, right? What's holding them back? Is it the regulation? Is it technology? Is it the UX, UI, and such like this? What's your take on this?
I think it's a good question. So right now, Say we have over, I would say, close to 100, probably like 80-ish game developers that's building on Say. And a couple of them, or maybe like 10-ish, 20-ish, are actually from traditional gaming space. Users or developers from Web2, there's live on Play Store, live on iOS, live on Steam. These are the kind of games that we are looking out for, right? So as they see, more of these developers coming to say, it start the trend where, there's actually more developers from the Web2 space reaching out to us on like a day-to-day basis in terms of like, they're interested to find out more in terms of like how we can help them, as a company, enter Web3 and what's the rationale they should enter Web3. So they look to us for this kind of case studies. And when we share with them, of course, the question that you brought up in terms of technology came up, who pays for the gas fee, how fast can we manage, transactions, and, is there account abstraction, that kind of stuff. So these are the kind of typical questions that we need to address. So as Say right now, we have this thing called the Say Global Wallet, where we actually reduce friction of, onboarding users. Users can use like, Gmail, Facebook, X to log into the game, and it automatically create an account for them. And this account itself is basically shared across the whole ecosystem in Say, not just in gaming, but in DeFi, AI, designs, NFT as well. So basically having this wallet, you're able to utilize or access the whole ecosystem. And then in terms of like, understanding how to go to market, we kind of provide them the guidance and also insights on how they should actually approach the market. And this is kind of why I would say we are doing pretty well in terms of gaming. The metrics is showing, developers are coming and the mindshare is growing.
Okay, thank you guys. I think I've come to all of the questions that's what wanted to be asked, okay? So without further ado, I think there is more panelists coming up. All right, so thank you guys for the time and we have come to the conclusion as well.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, everyone. Can you get you guys to stand in the front of the stage for a quick photo as well? For anyone that's downstairs or around the area, if you guys like, we do have one final panel discussion. It's going to be a very exciting one on RWA tokenization. So if that's your jam or something that you guys are into, please make your way up for this final panel discussion that we will be hosting here at our booth. All right, thank you once again to the guests for sharing their insights into high-performance public chains. I think from today's discussion, we've actually gained some in-depth insights into the competitive landscape of future public chains. Improving performance will actually be the most important thing in the coming future. So right now, we have our final panel, panel number 4, and we are looking forward to it. So can I invite the guests from the next panel, who will be talking a lot more about RWA tokenization. In recent years, we all know that RWA tokenization has been one of the hottest trends in the crypto industry, whether it's real estate, bonds, carbon credits, or any other RWA assets. It has been something that's revolutionizing these traditional assets by providing liquidity and transparency. Today, we are fortunate to actually have experts from giants in the field, like Katana, Foles Finance, Manta Network, and Tribe Digital to share their insights on this particular topic. So without further ado, can I invite the next guest up onto the stage? We do have the moderator, James, the Global Head of Business Development at Coinstore. We have Daniel Un, Head of DeFi at Katana. Roman, the Head of Investor Relations at Foles Finance. Shubham, the Head of Ecosystem at Manta Network. And finally, Daryl Lim, the General Partner at Tribe Digital. Without further ado, please put your hands together for them as they make their way up onto the stage.
All right, thank you so much for holding on until the last panel of the session. So we are indeed very happy today to touch on the very interesting and hot topic during this season, which is, give me a second, okay. the on-chain revolution of real assets. So we have a lot of qualified speakers over here. So I let them introduce one by one. Maybe the first one is Daniel.
Hi everyone, I'm Daniel, the head of BD at Katana. So Katana is a DeFi-specific layer 2 incubated by Polygon Labs and GSR. So we kind of like push a lot into what we call a DeFi-specific environment, where we kind of have one main core application for every of the DeFi primitives. And the general idea is to have and deliver like a really nice and smooth DeFi experience for our users. So we have Morpho, Sushi working closely with Agora Finance, for example, as an offering. We also try to make sure that like the user's flow is like really sweet and direct. So you can go to katana.network and actually make use of Katana right now. Yeah.
Okay, next.
Hey guys, nice to meet you. So I'm with Folk Finance. At Folks, we do cross-chain DeFi, meaning that we allow users to onboard seamlessly across all of the chains that we support. For that, we use cross-chain infrastructure. We leverage our partners, Wormhole, Chainlink, Circle, CCTP, and yeah, pretty much that's it. We aggregate all of the DeFi primitives, and we simplify the user experience. That's our main goal.
Hi everyone, I'm Shubham. I'm the head of ecosystem at Manta Network. Talking about Manta, so we were the first and the largest modular L2, but we recently pivoted to consumer side. So our major focus right now is to bring and develop some consumer application internally. Not the basic DeFi application, but more on the applications which were already present in Web 2, but coming into Web 3, how we can utilize them, how we can tokenize them in general.
Hi, so I'm Daryl. I'm the general partner at Tribe Digital. We're a venture fund based out of Singapore. We do pre-seed, seed stage, early stage investments. And right now, of course, RWA is one of our focus. Dominantly, we love anything DeFi, RWA, payments related. So if you're a project looking at fundraising, please look out for us.
Okay, nice. So without further ado, we'll kick off with the questions. Okay, so the first question to every one of the guests here is that the core of RWA is to solve the trust problem between off-chain asset and on-chain certificates. How can we gain more trust in traditional assets, and which model can best balance decentralization and credibility? Maybe you start from Daniel first.
I think for RWAs, it's kind of interesting, right? So if you guys remember around 3 to 4 years ago, or even earlier, there was this one really huge wave of institutional finance push where they start recording the transactions on chain as like memos, etc., and then like they kind of like fizzled out. But nowadays you kind of see a lot of like sell-side funds just directly coming in, even bringing like money market funds directly tokenizing on chain, and then they could already flow just as like bearer assets. I think that's like kind of like the zeitgeist that we see right now, the current trend that we see right now. And it's quite kind of interesting because you also see offerings coming from 4% interest rate, 7%, all the way to even 9%. I think Janus Henderson's offering that. You also see BlackRock Fiddle being pushed very hard across a lot of different chains. I think that's like the one thing. If we were to talk about like the user experience and...
Hello, sorry.
If we were to talk about the user experience and like the whole process, right? I think the main thing is to make sure that the users are aware of like where they can actually access the bearer tokens and the assets, the flow of the assets between the borrow and lend platforms and all the DeFi platforms. I think that's pretty critical here. Yeah.
Okay, Roman?
Yeah, so in my opinion, first of all, we would need to connect both the infrastructure part of the picture as well as the regulatory part of the picture, because as we are moving more and more advanced in the infrastructure part, so we have the Web2 venues talking on the infrastructural layer with the Web3 venues, we are still, in my opinion, missing the regulation. And once the larger institutions start to partake, that's when I would say more of a traditional user would feel safer utilizing such products, and overall tokenization would get a faster pace.
Okay, Suham?
Yep, so, okay, let's start with what is important right now in the tokenization side. So my personal opinion is definitely every tokenization needs KYC or a centralized party to approve it. What if first we change that instead of bringing everything on chain? So ZK proofs doing KYC, but not fully decrypted or encrypted. it should be somewhat encrypted. Second thing, on-chain, what things we should bring on. So stocks, okay. We bought bonds, money market instruments, it's all good. So I think so right now the problem is not about how these assets or what assets are coming. It's more about which assets you really want to support on and how much efforts you want to take it. So personally, I don't like to take efforts to do KYC and stuff because after this MetaMask and stuff, it's very simple for me to just log in and do all the things. So that is first important thing, I think, so for the onboarding. Second is about minting and redemption. So as every user doesn't do KYC, so they flow of like one-sided liquidity on DEXs, or maybe it's about the liquidity provisioning on any centralized party, minting it and giving it to the decentralized exchanges. That is quite important. So I think so like two things which needs to be sorted. One is the on-chain KYC, which is like when they're encrypted, no one knows about it, but something they know that they can approve it. Second, it should be about the onboarding users, how easy it is. Like, is it you need to redeem it, you need to wait for it, or is it like very simple, you just go to a DEX and just borrow it?
Daryl?
So I think to gain the trust of the retailers itself, it's a lot to do with education and regulation. The unfortunate truth is that you have to be regulated if you want to target the Web2 folks, because that's what they're used to, right? They're not used to that on-chain stuff itself. No matter how much you push, that's not going to work. And at the same time, you have to tell the Web3 folks as well that, 6 to 9% yield, that's good, right? Because they're so used to that, 10, 20 percentile yields itself. And the truth of the matter is that that's not sustainable. And so the truth of the matter is you have to kind of, educate the market, and you got to understand who you're kind of targeting. If you're targeting Web2, then go for regulations, take up a VSP license or something. And if you're doing like Web3 itself, you have to kind of share with them that, this is sustainable, and that's why you should kind of, invest in this particular asset class compared to something else. So that's kind of like my opinion in terms of gaining the trust of retailers. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think very important thing about this communication is about the bridging between Web 2 and Web 3. The users, they are of different portfolios and different customization for each of them to actually believe in the product. Okay, so for the next question, according to the media statistics, over 70% of the current RWA token trading volume comes from arbitrage robot. How do you solve the problem of insufficient real users? How to solve off-chain asset ownership and verification challenge? Maybe you can start with same flow, so it's easier. Daniel?
Yeah, I think going back to my original point, right? So if you guys think about like who is the sell side on the RWA side, it's really a lot of money market funds coming in, and the APY that they usually bring is like 4% actually. So 4% APY is actually pretty tricky because if let's say the ecosystem that you're running, let's say like it's Polygon or like Katana, for example, 4% APY, really you really struggle to try to find like any kind of buyers. And what ends up happening is that like if they are selling to us, then we would end up buying, or we would have to pump in a lot of incentives to make the market actually be viable for them. So actually when you say that 60 to 70% of the volume is like up bots, I kind of agree because like you wouldn't see people get super excited about trading 4% APYU stuff, right? Like unless it has a narrative like a yielding stablecoin behind it or a governance token or something along that lines. But what I believe is the organic growth of this part of the market will bring about like the sell side of the institutionals to bring in slightly better rates. So example, Janus Henderson's fund, I think it's around 8 to 9% right now, but that's a smaller piece of the puzzle. Over time, that is going to grow. And when that grows, right, that could potentially be a much better offering for traders who are upping between different rates, for example, and then also on the DEXs and the CXs, potentially increasing the ratio of the up bots to a much lower amount to like actually people who are trying to like try to actually up, make a difference when they're trying to hold RWAs. But if the up bots are actually paying fees, I'm actually like not against it, to be very frank, as somebody who is like running a chain here. Yeah.
Okay, Roman.
So to start off with, I would highlight that in my opinion, in any industry, especially if we are dealing with trading, we would have trading bots. We would have arbitrage. This is simply because there are inefficiencies in the market that need to be gapped. So we kind of need to take it as given. In terms of user adoption though, there are a lot of improvements that could be done. I think first of all, we do need clarity on the secondary markets. So both SEX and DEX listings are secondary markets. As of now, a lot of products are still at a very shaky status in terms of regulation. So we don't really understand, and users don't really understand how to interact with that, right? We don't have proper AML and KYC process in place, and therefore we are limiting ourselves from this liquidity inflow. And lastly, to wrap it up, users are not willing to even go further, such as DEX or SEX. They would like to have it in their mobile application. So they would like to be able to open their bank or their fintech solution that they are utilizing and see the assets available in their disposal. And that's where they could be also managing their yield. So in my opinion, that's the next path.
Hi, Subham.
Okay, so I'll just start with the first like 6% to 8% because that's interesting for me. So I'm ex-Polygon, by the way. So back in 2021, there was a project called as Pickle Finance, if you know about it. So it used to give you like 1000% APY. So how it used to work, they used to give their own token. They used to see who is getting liquidated. They used to liquidate him, and whatever API is generated, that gives to us. So that was a good idea, though. But it's more about like who wins and who loses. Second, coming to like arbitrage opportunities or not. So I think so. Like I have a different opinion. It should be valid and it should be there always, because in Web 2, if we talk about JP Morgan, Chase, Morgan Stanley, everyone do arbitrage on all the bonds, equities, private equities, pre-IPO tokens, and then they start working on these particular arbitrage opportunities and make money even before the launching. I think like for me specifically, even when Athena launched and stuff, so I was the one when they were not using oracles. So I used to be the one who used to go to the dexes, the small dexes, and used to trade and make money out of it. Even for the meme coin. So when if a meme coin is launched on Solana, they are going to bridge it on, say suppose Base. I just used to check which bridge they are going to use. I used to use the same bridge, buy it over here, sell it over there. So this is not a new thing, and I think so this should be an opportunity. So it's not necessary always to use a off-chain oracle for the price feed. It's better people should trade it, because if you don't let them trade, they will just not settle for your 6% on 8% APY.
Daryl.
So I think coming from TradeFi, there's nothing wrong with arbitrage. That's part and parcel of the market. In fact, we actually had this discussion just yesterday on sustainable liquidity. Right? The only way to do so is to ensure that you provide people an actual use case on why they should keep their liquidity on chain, and that's that. If the only way that you are, generating TVL is providing incentives, people are going to arbitrage, and you can't blame people for that. So, to us, as investors, it goes back to, is there actually a use case for keeping liquidity on chain for a particular project? If there is, then that's great. If there isn't, then people will arb you, and that's just how the market works. Yeah.
Agree. Okay, the next question. In the possible bull run of 2025, can RWA become a new market narrative? The biggest bottleneck currently hindering its outbreak is technological maturity, regulatory framework, or market acceptance. I want to hear your opinion. Daniel.
Yeah, I think mine's a bit like more city native, a bit controversial. I think like if we do have a bull run, then it wouldn't be a RWA bull actually, because everybody will be allocated into all their main crypto coins, high market cap, or even shit coins, right? So like there wouldn't be an RWA bull run. But I think what will be really cool is that we kind of get an RWA bull run when we start turning bearish. Because when we are very bearish, right, the interest rates and APY, the farms kind of like die off. But the policy transmission use that's being brought from, let's say, federal funds rate gets transmitted over on-chain, and then you would be able to hold like the 4% money market fund that I was talking about becomes very attractive, because your real use on-chain are already zero. So I think when we do really move towards like a slightly bearish market, we will definitely see like RWA start like really moving very quickly, and I think that's where the opportunity could be at for a lot of the builders, even a lot of the chains themselves, that they are looking forward to that actually. So I think it's quite interesting, because like for the past 3 to 4 years, you don't actually see like a really strong barbell strategy that we could do as an industry, but now we have. So pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting. bear market is 4 years traditionally, and bull market is 1 year. Okay, Roman.
Thanks. I think overall the speculation over the markets, it's a bit inconsistent because the fact that we are already talking about RWAs, in my opinion, already showcases that it's a technology that's here to stay. It's overall an evolutionary step. I do believe that eventually majority of assets all around us would be tokenized. In terms of market conditions, I think the worse they are, the better they are also for more traditional funds, because that would mean that service providers would be charging less, and that's also a big part of that in terms of liquidity provision and other aspects. In terms of main blockers, though, I would still repeat myself that it would be still regulation. We are still nowhere near a proper regulation. We do see leaders like BlackRock, potentially Van Eck and several other guys building their own private funds. But we do need to understand that it's very, very close circle, and they have great resources for that. And the entry point to those private funds are indeed quite high. So we would need to reduce it. And this reduction is only possible through more participation, lower inefficiency, and once this happened, we also see an inflow of retail funds, meaning that markets suddenly become much more and more efficient long term. So that's my takeaway.
Thanks, Roman. Subham.
My straightforward answer is no. So the reason is very specific. Like RW asset moves alongside, like a direct relation between the traditional market and crypto market works more volatility based on the volatility of the traditional market. So let's take an example. Previously, when I was young, so there were two traditional assets, like one was gold, one was equity. When equity goes up, you see an indirect proportional value between the gold, which is going down. And same with the other things as well. When we talk about RWAs, so suppose if we see bear market, that time RWAs will be more exciting for people rather than now going into it, because personally I won't go for it. I'll just go for meme coins and everything because I want to make money. I don't want to stay safe. If I want to stay safe, I won't leave my traditional job and come over here, right? But again, so that is first opinion. Second, but RWA is a good narrative, good use case, because in last cycle, this cycle, RWA has taken a lot of things. DAI, all these small narratives came, but that's not that hype. There is no new use cases. But in RWA, we have seen a lot of use cases. So initially, it was like tokenizing properties and stuff, which didn't go well though. But then we tokenized money market instruments and stuff, which is going well right now. But I still think that 6%, 8% cannot bring up more value. Even arbitrage didn't bring that much value though. So that is the reason I think so. Bull market will not be the best part for RWA. Bear market will be the best part.
Okay. Daryl?
So I kind of agree with Daniel, but I have some points to add, right? It's not just applicable to crypto. If you actually look into TradeFi, liquidity flows whenever there's a recessionary, inflationary market itself. So that means that even in a bearish market, you still need to have a use case, because even if you're providing, say, okay, let's say you're tokenizing private credit, debt, factorization. In a recessionary market, and this is not crypto, like recessionary market, would you still put money in private credit or factorization? No, even if it's providing like 10 to 12% yields itself, simply because by the fact that the default rates is going to be high in the recessionary market. So it's more towards, is there even a use case for you? Because at the end of the day, if it's a recession market, people will still go to bonds or go to treasury yields or go to market funds because it's safe, right? Because so what if you're at 12% yield in a recession market and crypto's in a slum right now? People will still invest because at the end of the day, it's still going to be high default rates, and people look at the underlying assets risk itself. So that's kind of like what's important. So at the end of the day, if you're tokenizing asset, you still have to look at, is the asset I'm tokenizing a higher risk to what the market sentiment is today? So that's kind of like how I see it. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think making lesser money is better than losing money. Yeah, I think, all right. Okay.
It depends on you actually. So for me, it's like either full in or full out. So different opinions. So.
Okay, so now we go to the next session. It will be open to individuals like guests. Okay, it's customized. The first question I would like to open to Daniel. Okay, so for Katana, what are you looking at when it comes to the intersection of DeFi and RWA? Any fresh trend and insights?
Yeah, I think for us, because Katana is like quite kind of new DeFi chain, right? So we're definitely looking at like where we can slot RWA within our own DeFi ecosystem. So when we selected our main borrow and lend on Katana, we actually went with like a vault-based borrow and lend. So instead of Aave, we selected Morpho. And what that gives us is it gives us the ability to actually onboard RWAs of whatever yield that the vault creators or the risk managers are actually able to ingest. That means if they can accept it, right, and they're willing to accept it as collateral, then they could, the users can essentially benefit from it, essentially. So we're experimenting with different parts of that, but just to kind of like reiterate what the rest of the panelists also shared is that like, end of the day, it's the underlying of the risk of the asset itself, and also, more importantly for me, it's like the yield that the asset actually brings. So it doesn't like, it's not very different from any other DeFi asset. In fact, it's kind of treated the same, but because of how Katana is structured and how our focus is on vaults itself, it allows us to like experiment a lot with RWA for this season essentially. So then like, my bet on this is that when the bear market kind of comes, it's kind of pay off for us basically, yeah, on the vaults themselves.
Okay, then next is for Fox Finance, Roman. Fox Finance builds cross-chain decentralized finance, securing an impressive 170 billion TVL. For ordinary users, what is the most obvious experience advantage of Fox cross-chain lending compared to single-chain lending protocols?
Thank you for this question. Actually, this week we already crossed 200 million, so we keep growing daily. So if I was to answer short, it is user experience because we simplify it. We abstract fully choice of chains because we do believe that users, especially if we are talking about Web2 users, they don't need to deep dive across every chain. They want a simple interface. They want to onboard and they want to be able to immediately start earning yield on the assets that they are holding. If I was to contribute a bit more towards the topic here, so on Folks we do have listed tokenized gold and silver, and I believe that this is power of the future, right? So if we are looking broadly across majority of regions, you first of all aren't really able to buy gold or silver. You would need to go to the bank, right? Unless you're opening a brokerage account and you're doing all of that licensing process, it takes a while. The worst part of all of that, it just sits there. You cannot utilize it as a collateral. And for us as a product, as a lending product and current offering, we do believe that every part of the market that has some form of underlying value and that is tradable on secondary market, so is available for liquidations, should be available to collateralize. Imagine that you are tokenizing your house and you can actually borrow against your landed tokens of your house. I do believe that this is the future in which finance becomes much more accessible and which, especially if we're talking about less developed regions, a lot of users and a lot of citizens even have a greater accessibility towards finance because you don't need to go and do so many loopholes to get stuff licensed, to get due diligence on top of that, right? You have a market determine the price, you have the liquidity, we do risk assessment, and that happens. And this is our core mission. We are willing to bring the usability to the end user, and as of now, we're also developing a mobile application and a debit card. So essentially, you would be able to collateralize your assets and spend immediately with folks. And this is the future of DeFi as we envision it, because we don't need to have infrastructure for every breath, right? We want to have stuff in one place, and that's largely what current TradFi offers. The only problem with it, it's very slow and it's very expensive because usually you employ thousands, if not tens of thousands of people if we're talking about traditional banks. In terms of decentralized solutions, we are fully built on smart contracts. We are audited. We do have a team that operates, although all of that is fully decentralized. So we have significantly less chance of probability of a bad actor in this case. And this also, in my opinion, brings much more safety and security towards assets of the users themselves, because we're not able to operate with them, right? So, yeah, I hope it answers the question.
Yeah, thank you. Next to Subham, Manta recently started focusing on the consumer apps and incubating some of them internally. Can you share more about what is the roadmap and why is the shift of focus from L2 generic purpose chain to consumer focus chain?
Okay, so even on this panel, we see like two chains sitting together. So the problem which we saw was initially it was very fancy to have a chain and everything, but then after app chains and a lot of general purpose chains, so the market was not doing that well. So we have the same users, we have the same dApps and everything. So people were facing, or maybe a chain is facing issue with the users. So we thought maybe instead of just going and developing more better chain and infrastructure, we just go with the consumer application which is deployed internally. So the reason behind that is, like if you see most of the DEXs, lending protocols, or maybe LST, LRTs, that are the same one which is on every chain. So no one is committed to anywhere personally. So we thought maybe we'll deploy some projects internally. So in pipeline right now we have 5 projects. One is Super Fortune, which is a gamify. We have a TradFi product which is coming similar based on arbitrage, by the way. Third one is a DeFi product. Fourth one is kind of token product, tokenizing and stuff, but also based on some meme things. Not a meme launchpad though. And these projects, what we plan to do is we'll launch them. Whatever revenue, whatever the transaction fees is generated, we'll be using that same tokens to buy back the Manta token so that the Manta token also increase and we start focusing on different chains and different things. So all the projects which are launched on Manta, it is not necessary that they will be on Manta. It is more about which chain has the best users and most users. So maybe for EVM, it can be Ethereum, Base, and for SVM, we can use Solana, we can use BNB chain and stuff. So these kind of chains we'll focus on, will bring the users to use the application, and with that application, we'll just start using and buying back the Manta tokens.
Nice, thanks. Lastly, to Daryl, Thrive Digital focuses on early stage investment in Web3, especially in infrastructure and financial innovation. In a wave of RWA, what key factors do you think can determine the long-term success of a project? Is it regulatory compliance, underlying technology architecture, or ecosystem synergy effect?
I think for me, it's definitely the underlying use case. Interestingly, you talk about regulations, right? I will tell you this about RWA. Having a license doesn't mean you'll be successful, but you will at least be valuable. This is a real example. You know how in Singapore back then in June, they just suddenly announced like DPD license gone. During that month, there was a spike in M&A transactions of licenses exchanging hands. What does it mean for you as a company? It means that if you ended up holding a license, even if you can't be successful, you can actually still sell your company away because you hold a license. Why? Because it takes time to apply, right? Like let's say you take a Labuan VSP license, it takes at least a year. But if you come across an event like in Singapore, you just get acquired just like that. So for me, it really depends on what you want to do. But my advice is, if you are my portfolio, is okay, if you're my portfolio, I'll say go the proper route, go and apply for license and all that. But if you're my portfolio, I'll say just go and do whatever it takes to grow the business first and then acquire the license later. Because if you look at all the majority of the successful RWA businesses, what they do is they raise a lot of money, they get a lot of users, and then they end up acquiring a company with a license itself. And that's the route that you go. But of course, the way it works is that you self-regulate first. Right? Doesn't mean that you don't get a license, but you self-regulate as though that you already have a license. That's the way you play the game. Yeah.
I like the way Daryl puts it. It's a very practical way. It's a businessman's approach. Yeah, very good. Okay, we still have about 10 minutes, but I'm going to end off. Actually, I'm finished my question, but I want to give a bonus question. Okay, so interesting for the audience here. In terms of the experts over here, if you are going to invest in RWA project, for example, to buy tokens, in your bag, how much percentage will the RWA portfolio be out of 100%? Maybe start with Daryl.
I think for me, because I'm a degen, so like the RWA portfolio probably will be pretty small. Like it will be like maximum 30% no matter what happens. So I can be 30% RWA, 70% stables in like the worst case scenario. But if let's say if it's a bull market, then 100% ready to deploy stables, 100% stables ready to go 30x on Coinstore, for example. Yeah.
Thanks. Roman.
Yeah, thanks for the question. I mean, it does depend, though, what does the product do, right? If they just simply do tokenization, they do most likely have a lot of competitors right now. Market is growing. I would say a solid 10 to 15% for sure to diversify my risks. And yeah, I mean, there are a lot of interesting emerging sectors. I think it's also important to understand where those assets in the end will land. So we have a lot of infrastructural loops in between, and we need to make sure that we are diversifying our investments, in my opinion, towards all of them. Towards the chain, where the asset is being hosted, then towards the DeFi solutions where it's able to be tradable, and then the secondary trading venues as well. So yeah, that's my approach.
Got it. Suham, your opinion?
So again, it depends on market. If the market is pretty bad, initially I used to keep stable coins. But now I'll just keep some RWA-backed stablecoins. But second thing, in RWA, specifically in bull market, if I want to go, so you know ETFs are quite booming right now. There are some projects, what they are doing is, they will be doing arbitrage on ETFs and they'll generate yield. Similar to what we used to do in crypto, like yield sharing or yield bag, all this. So platform, they are working similar, but based on the real world assets and stuff. So I think so these kind of projects, I can still believe in the crypto bull run as well, because they can easily provide like 30 to 40%. But in general, like let's say if I want to hold something in RWA, so it will be majorly like shifting from a stable coin to a RWA. And that too, just to mention, it will be just top assets like Mountain Protocol, USDM, stablecoin for Athena, like USDE, Ondo, and stuff. That's it.
Okay, nice. Last one by the VC. So I think his opinion is very valuable.
Okay, this is very controversial because I'm very conservative as an investor. Because my job is risk management, right? So it's like that. So for me, so actually I keep a big chunk of my portfolio in TradeFi, right? So when tokenization comes, and if they do tokenize all the different asset classes that I'm in, for example, I do invest a lot in like ETFs, shares of companies, in NASDAQs and stuff. So when the time comes, I would definitely kind of move my portfolio towards that, because to be honest, my degen portfolio makes up less than 10%, right? But that's because I'm happy as long as my entire portfolio beats S&P or performs as good as S&P. So that's kind of my target. I'm not even talking about like Bitcoin itself, but that's my opinion, because I'm more conservative as an investor, yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's a trick question to see whether is he a risk taker. All right, thank you so much. I think we have come to the end of the panel. Thank you so much, guests, for attending. It's our honor.
Thank you, guys.
And let's put a hands applause for the guests, and we take a photo.
All right, guys, thank you so much for the wonderful panel session. Please just get a quick photo session done, and we'll move on with the program for today. All right, once again, thank you so much to our guests for the wonderful session. I think from the discussion that we've had, we can see that the tokenization of RWA is not only a digital transformation, but rather it is traditional assets, but also a key factor in the growth of Web3. Tokenizing assets not only increases liquidity but also addresses traceability and compliance issues. We also know that in the future, global digital asset trading will break geographical and traditional financial system constraints, promoting global capital market flow. We look forward to RWA accelerating the deep integration of traditional finance with the blockchain world. And with that, we've actually come to the end of today's roundtable event. And I really want to express a heartfelt thank you to all the industry experts who have joined us, project representatives, and friends present for your enthusiastic participation as well. Coinstore has always been committed to building an open and interactive international platform where global industry leaders and innovators can communicate, collaborate, and progress together. The future of Web3 requires the collective effort of every industry colleague, and today's roundtable discussions have undoubtedly provided us with valuable insights and opportunities for collaboration. Once again, thank you to all the guests for your wonderful presentations, and thank you to everyone in the audience for your active participation. We look forward to meeting you again at future events. And just a quick reminder as well, tonight we'll be having Coinstore's after party right here at the very same venue. It's going to be called Coinstore Wild Night. There's going to be a free flow of beer throughout the night. There's going to be a DJ, and we're going to have live music and just a really great party. So make sure you guys drop by tonight at 7:30 p.m. for that. With that, we've come to the end of today's program. Thank you, everyone. Can I get everyone from Coinstore, all our BDs, marketing, everyone who's present that is a part of Coinstore to please come upstairs for a quick photo taking session?
revolution is here.